Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto secretly trained in night using forbidden jutsu. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Kenshi618 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, You Are the Dash. What do you think you're doing out here, Naruto? An out-of-breath and seemingly irate scar-faced, brown ponytail-wearing Chunin Yumino Iruka asked rhetorically to a young blonde boy with whisker marks on his cheeks. He already knew, of course. Everyone his level and higher knew. Naruto had been caught leaving the Hokage Tower with the forbidden scroll of seals, the scroll with tons of Konohamaru's secret and most well-guarded techniques ever amassed. This was right up there with treason, even for a child like Naruto. Hence why Iruka had hunted him down and found him deep inside of the forests, outside of the village walls. Said boy simply held his hand behind his neck, rubbing it while grinning sheepishly. I found you, Iruka-sensei. Iruka's eye twitched. Idiot. I found you. His expression then softened. Naruto, what on earth possessed you to take the scroll like that? Don't you know it's forbidden? Naruto chuckled like a goof for a moment before standing up and looking proud of himself. You caught me fast, Iruka-sensei. I only had time to learn one jutsu from the scroll. That one tidbit of information made Iruka's eyebrows rise under his headband in surprise. But everything's okay now because I can graduate. That's how it works, isn't it? I get the scroll and learn a jutsu from it, and I can graduate even if I failed. There wasn't an inflection of lie in his voice at all that Iruka could decipher. Not that Naruto could effectively lie to a ninja his level anyway, but he was completely sincere. He honestly believed what he was saying. Naruto, who told you this? I have to tell you now right off that it's not true. Someone lied to you, Iruka asked, seeing Naruto's face drop from one of triumph to disbelief. What? He said in a panicked voice. But Mizuki-sensei was the one that gave me the test. He said it was a make-up for the graduation exam. Hearing the despair in his voice worked Iruka's heart for the boy. He was deceived by someone that should have had his best interests at heart, and was to be used as a scapegoat. And what could Naruto do? To trust your sensei to do what was right was no sin, no crime. If it were, then Mitarashi Anko would be locked away or dead by now for what her sensei had done while she was under him. Iruka shut his eyes so that he could think. Naruto was lucky he was the first one to find him. Others would have probably destroyed him before he even knew what was going on. Speaking of which, Iruka sent out a pulse of chakra so that he could see if anyone were around. It was one of Iruka's best techniques, sending out the pulse of chakra to get something of a momentary sonar image of his surroundings. The secret behind how he was able to tell if anyone in his class was slacking off or goofing off even when he had his back turned to the chalkboard. Naruto looked up at Iruka, his eyes on the verge of tears. Iruka-sensei, am I in trouble? Naruto had no idea what to do in case he were. Fight Iruka? Yeah, as if. He may have had a lot of bluster, but he wasn't a fool when it came to his own capabilities as a ninja. He knew Iruka could pick him apart if necessary before he could even do the seals for his new super strong technique, and what good would beating up Iruka do even if he could somehow pull it off? If he did that, he definitely wouldn't be a ninja afterwards, which meant no Hokage for him. There was no reason to even fight. Iruka sighed before letting out another pulse of chakra. No one around yet. What was he going to do? He placed a hand on Naruto's hair. To be frank, more than likely. But you were just doing what your sensei told you to do to become a ninja. If you come with me, I swear on my status as a Konoha Chunin that I'll do whatever I can to vouch for you and help you get out of this, he said with as much conviction as he could. He could see the subtle movements of Naruto's body. He was trying to decide whether he would run, fight, or just give up. If he ran and Iruka couldn't catch him again, the next person that found him would leave Naruto a bloody smear on the forest floor. And the sad thing about it would be that he really didn't think that too many people would care if that did indeed happen. Poor kid. Hokage-sama was right about him. Naruto looked at Iruka intently. Mizuki had already lied to him today apparently. Who's to say that Iruka-sensei wouldn't either? But he did give him his word. Not just his word as a Chunin of the village. And if there was one thing Naruto took seriously, it was people giving their word. Do you promise? Iruka gave him a reassuring smile. I just gave you my word, stupid. He sent out another pulse absent-mindedly. He needed to get Naruto back to clear his name quick. As long as he kept doing this, he was burning right through his chakra rapidly. Now let's get going, Naruto dash. His pulse actually got something this time, and it was coming at them fast. Naruto, look out. Iruka tackled Naruto to the ground just as a massive shuriken passed right where he had been standing a second earlier. Nice work, Naruto. Mizuki stated as he appeared standing on a tree branch looking down at him, and Iruka, who had gotten back to his feet, standing defensively in front of Naruto. Now give me the scroll. Iruka's fingers flexed right by his kunai and shuriken pouch on his thigh. He already knows you deceived him, Mizuki. You should have been a bit faster, or maybe you couldn't find your own decoy. Maybe you should be the one going back to the academy. Iruka took a moment to pat himself on the back for riling Mizuki up. Mizuki sneered at Iruka before turning a kinder look to the young boy behind the scar-faced Chunin. Naruto, did you ever wonder why everyone hates you? Everyone in the village knows about it but you. Naruto glowered at Mizuki. I don't care what you have to say, you bastard. You tricked me. Now who knows what's going to happen to me? If you think you're getting this scroll from me, you're going to have to walk over my cold, dead body to get it. Mizuki frowned. He really wanted to take the demon brat down a peg, but he was going to die whether he told him the truth or not, so it didn't really matter in the end. He shook his head before taking another large shuriken from his back. Well, that was the general idea when I had you take it from me, Naruto. No one would miss you once you were gone, trust me. Iruka looked back and saw that Mizuki's words cut deep inside of Naruto from the change of expression on his face. Even he knew it was true. Mizuki, Iruka growled lowly, surrender now. I don't want to have to hurt you. It doesn't have to be this way. Mizuki let out a loud bark of laughter. Why would I possibly surrender? All I've got standing in my way is a lackluster schoolteacher and the talentless dropout dead last of his class. If I lose to a glorified babysitter like you, Iruka, I deserve to be punished. Naruto, Iruka said firmly, keeping his eyes on his fellow teacher, I'm going to need you to stay out of the way. Can you do that for me? Get far out of the way so that you don't get caught up in this fight. He would have told him to go and get them some help, but if he went to anyone else other than himself, Naruto would probably have been immediately detained or even killed. It would have been a boy who cried wolf scenario. Naruto nodded hesitantly and picked up the scroll. However, the second he made his move to leave, Mizuki launched 3 shuriken at him. The only thing that saved him was some spot on marksmanship from the instructor seemingly on his side in this situation. Iruka, you're going to fight for that little monster, Iruka? Mizuki shook his head as he saw Naruto vanish into the woods. I thought you were smarter than that. You know you can't beat me. All this grading papers for the last several years made you lose what little talent you have. Clearly you couldn't move up. Iruka wanted to laugh in Mizuki's face. Oh well, he was about to get his in just a moment anyway. Obviously he had been whipping himself into shape for this little plan of his. But it wasn't like Iruka had just been sitting on his ass doing nothing. Being the teacher he had free rein and plenty of reason to head to the library, not just to gather extra material for his lectures. He also dropped in from time to time in the section set aside for exercises and jutsu, and while there was never anything too high level in there for all to see beyond basic and at the most intermediate techniques, that was never really a bad thing. Basics were basic for a reason, because they worked, and the tactics and theoretical ideas in tone were more than enough for someone like him. It helped him develop his sonar technique all on his own. Being the teacher he also stayed after school plenty of times to finish his work for the day when Mizuki simply got to head home, as he was simply his assistant. Seemingly a good thing, but Mizuki had to isolate himself to set all of this up, to plan and prepare. How much could he train and improve on his own? Iruka didn't have that problem. All teachers were at the very least chunin by prerequisite, and they all trained together regularly after school to ensure their skills stayed sharp in case they were needed. He never remembered Mizuki ever getting that memo, as it was an ass-received basis for that privilege. No one was going to make you train. Being the teacher he may have been just a chunin, but he was a chunin with every single battle scenario worth memorizing and remembering ingrained in the back of his brain. Mizuki may have been treacherous and cunning, but Iruka could be just as cunning as he was, and he had the technical nuances of being a ninja all locked up in his head. While they may have been on a similar level of strength, and while Mizuki may have been slightly stronger than him, he knew he was better. Mizuki simply thought he was better, but in a straight-up fight Iruka was positive that Mizuki couldn't beat him. Naruto's no monster. I learned that a long time ago. The only monster I see here is you, turning a student's trust into a weapon against him for your own bidding. Iruka held a kunai in his right hand, ready for combat. Mizuki chuckled and drew his own kunai to humor Iruka. You should have just left, Iruka. I tried to talk you out of this, just so you know. Why are you defending him? He's just a dash. Iruka cut him off sharply. I'm done listening to you talk. The next words I want to hear from you are your pleas to Ibiki to stop. With that, both men flew at each other in a blur of speed. At least it was a blur of speed to Naruto, who knew full well he couldn't move that fast on his best day. Iruka and Mizuki met on the ground, clashing their kunai against one another in a test of strength. Mizuki had a smirk planted on his face while Iruka's face was one of focus and intent. In a burst of energy, Mizuki overpowered Iruka and threw him off balance before making a move to stab Iruka and end the fight. Iruka let the kunai sail past his throat, coming short of slashing out his esophagus, and returned with a short backhand with his free arm to Mizuki's face that the man blocked. Iruka was not deterred and fired off a side kick that caught Mizuki in the body, sending him back. It was just as he thought. Mizuki wasn't that much better than him, if he was at all. He hadn't used any jutsu yet, but then again Iruka hadn't either. Mizuki growled at being the one to take the first hit in this fight and threw the kunai in his hand at Iruka. Iruka simply used the kunai in his own hand to deflect it, and came back in to press his new advantage. He was armed, Mizuki wasn't. Mizuki stepped back as he saw Iruka coming in to attack him and threw a handful of caltrops from his pockets right in his path to keep him from advancing any further. Iruka was forced to stop in his tracks or have his feet impaled by the spikes. But he was forced to take his eyes off of Mizuki, who immediately responded to Iruka's situation. He drew the large shuriken from his back and threw it. Iruka had ample time to prepare a kawarimi to switch himself out for protection, but the shuriken sailed right past him. What did he throw at? He missed me by a mile. The sound of the shuriken sailing off into the distance and cutting through things rang out. Even something that sounded like a person, Naruto, Mizuki chuckled. Did you really think that brat could hide from me, Iruka? It was either let me kill him, or let the others kill him once they found him. I just did it faster than they would have. I'm not surprised he didn't see it coming. He was ranked dead last for a reason after all. His gloating was cut off when Iruka's fist slammed right into his nose, spraying blood with the impact. All Iruka wanted was to beat Mizuki to a bloody pulp at the moment. After all of the things that Naruto had to deal with, and he was cut down by someone like Mizuki before he even had a chance to change the way he was seen by the villagers. One punch wasn't enough, he wanted to make Mizuki suffer for this. He never got to apologize to Naruto for being so hard on him all the time, he never got to tell him how like they were and how much of himself he saw in the boy. But he could at least clear his name at Mizuki's expense if nothing else. Mizuki was reeling after the first punch from Iruka, but after clearing the tears from his eyes that sprang from getting his nose broken he realized that Iruka had gotten sloppy. His punches stopped being crisp and started looping far more than before, and he almost completely forgot about the kunai he had in his hand. Well, Mizuki remembered that it was still there. Mizuki shot out a short punch as a counter to one of Iruka's emotional haymakers and hit the man right in the throat, delighting in watching his eyes bulge out. It was a pity though, a little harder, and he could have watched him strangled to death and been done with it. Iruka dropped his kunai to clutch at his throat, trying to catch some air after nearly having his larynx smashed by Mizuki, allowing the silver-haired man to pick up the discarded weapon and drive it into Iruka's shoulder to the hilt before he could aptly defend himself. He was only able to avert it from going into his heart. Mizuki scoffed. You're being irksome, Iruka. Just die already, he said, standing over the fallen instructor. All of this simply to protect that useless monster. I bet you feel proud. He held his heel right on Iruka's throat, slowly descending it to crush it under his sandal. Iruka choked out a cheeky response. He's twice the shinobi you are for sure, but then again what's 2 times nothing? Seeing Mizuki's face twist into that scowl almost made the fact that he was about to die slightly better. I'm good enough to kill you apparently, Mizuki said right before he planned on stomping right on Iruka's neck. Planned because it never came to be. An orange blur came out of nowhere and plowed right into him, sending him flying back. XXX. Watching the battle between Mizuki and Iruka made Naruto feel completely out of his league. They weren't even using any jutsu. There was no way he was going to step into the midst of that. He'd get killed by accident. Every move was fluent and flowed. Either one of them would thrash him before he could finish hand seals for any of the jutsu he knew, except for the new one of course. He'd smash anybody with his new jutsu. But then Naruto was stunned. Mizuki really was trying to kill him. Once he got out of sight so that Iruka and Mizuki could fight, he started skulking around the battlefield, making use of his new jutsu to cut off any escape routes Mizuki might try to take once Iruka started kicking his ass. And then he felt his own death and heard Iruka shout his name, getting him to look from his cover out at the battle between Mizuki and Iruka, talking about how he had just died and how Mizuki had been planning to kill him all along. Seeing Iruka explode in rage after thinking that he died brought some happiness to Naruto. At least there was someone out there that would feel something if he just up and kicked the bucket one day. It was better than he thought it was at least. But when he saw Mizuki take the advantage over Iruka and move to finish him off, he couldn't take it anymore and sprang to action. Luckily Mizuki figured he had killed him with that shuriken, and never saw him coming when he slammed right into him, taking delight in the fact that he sent him flying with a glorified body check. He stood in front of Iruka and glared out at Mizuki. If you try to lay one more hand on Iruka-sensei, I'll kill you, he threatened. Mizuki stood up and dusted himself off before laughing at Naruto. What exactly can you do? I just beat the only threat here. I'll kill you right out in one shot. Come and try it then. I'll send it right back 1,000-fold. Naruto roared at him, clenching his fists tightly. Mizuki must have taken that as a personal challenge because he came storming right in to take Naruto out. Naruto made a cross sign with his index and middle fingers on both hands as a large cloud of smoke engulfed the field. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. When the smoke cleared, the entire area was filled to the brim with copies of Naruto. Every nook and cranny of the area was filled with them, even all over the branches of the trees. What's the matter, Mizuki team? One of the Narutos shouted. Yeah, I thought you were going to kill us all with one shot? Another quipped. Well, since you're not coming to us, we're coming to you. And with that, the countless number of clones descended upon Mizuki and began beating the daylights out of him. The numbers were simply too much for someone like him to handle alone. Iruka was astonished. Less than 18 hours earlier Naruto couldn't make one regular Bunshin, but here he was able to fill an entire forest clearing with the most complex clone jutsu known to Konoha, and he had done it seemingly effortlessly. That had to take an ungodly amount of chakra. How could he dash? Oh yeah, that duh. In a matter of moments Mizuki had been beaten to a pulp by Naruto and his countless Kage Bunshin, leaving one remaining Naruto standing over his prone form grinning sheepishly. I guess I went a little overboard, huh? Not really. Iruka thought to himself. Hey Naruto, come here for a minute and close your eyes. The boy blinked but curiously did as he was asked, allowing the wounded Iruka to quickly swap out the boy's goggles for his own headband. Now go ahead and open them. Naruto looked at Iruka strangely when he saw that he was no longer wearing a headband. Congratulations, you graduate. Iruka wasn't sure if the sunshine hitting him in the face came from the sunrise or from the smile that spread across Naruto's face once his words had sunk in. XXX. The next day, Naruto had gotten one hell of an earful from the Sandaime Hokage after returning the scroll of sealing with Iruka the previous night. Naruto wasn't sure what he was more angry about, the fact that Naruto had actually gotten away with the scroll, or that Naruto had actually gone through the Hokage himself to get it. And people called Oiroke no Jutsu, sexy jutsu, a stupid waste of time. Anyway, after getting chewed out for half an hour, the kindly old man told Naruto he was proud of him and that protecting Iruka the way he did showed that he did indeed have the will of fire. He supported Iruka's decision to allow him to graduate and proceeded to give Naruto all of the information he needed for orientation the next week, where to go for the actual orientation itself, where to go to get his ninja ID photo taken, etc. Anyway, Iruka asked him to meet him at the academy the next day. Why? He didn't know since he was told orientation for new genin didn't happen until next week, but he figured he would humor his teacher and show up. He proved the previous night that he was someone Naruto could trust, and for that the least he could do was show up when he was asked to. It wasn't like Naruto was doing anything else either to not do so. With that in mind, Naruto headed through the streets of Konoha towards the academy. XXX. Iruka sat on the edge of his desk waiting for Naruto to show up. He was very glad that he showed the skill needed to graduate last night, but the conversation he held with the Hokage after Naruto headed home stuck out in his mind. Flashback. Iruka sat in front of Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage who had lit up his pipe as he waited for Iruka to speak. For some reason the man had something else he needed to talk about regarding the events of the evening. Iruka looked like he was thinking on how to address the issue, but eventually opted to just speak. Hokage-sama. Mizuki came this close to telling Naruto about the you-know-what. If he hadn't cut him off when he did, it would have gotten out. The Sandaime nodded and let out a puff of smoke. Sometimes I wonder why I don't just tell him myself. I kept it a secret because it was supposed to help him be a normal boy like everyone else, but as we all know, that didn't exactly turn out as anticipated. You yourself can attest to that. Iruka nodded in concession to that. Do you want me to tell him? Iruka wondered. I think I'd be willing to, and I think he might take it better if he hears it from me in case another person like Mizuki tries something. The old Hokage laughed. I don't believe that after what Naruto-kun did to Mizuki there will be too many people lining up to attempt to use him for anything, as if Naruto-kun himself would let that happen again. He learns his hard lessons well enough. No, I don't think that will be necessary, Iruka-kun. I have someone I intend to have tell Naruto-kun himself when I can get him to return to Konoha. I appreciate the thought though. I just want him to enjoy his first days as a genin before I let him know about such a dark secret. He hasn't had a normal childhood, as we all know. Even as far as orphans go, he at least deserves to get a normal experience as a genin. Iruka couldn't even imagine having the pressure of holding back what Naruto had the responsibility of doing right now, and he was doing it unwillingly and unwittingly as a child. Knowing that an entity of chakra that nearly obliterated your home and snuffed out countless lives was sitting behind a construct of ink on your belly would turn the hairs of lesser men gray with stress. Iruka blinked at realizing what his leader had just said. Wait, you mean you're going to tell him at some point? From the way you just put it, I would agree with never telling him. It's worked so far. Hiruzen shook his head. I'm risking Naruto-kun's spite by not telling him for as long as I have, but one day he will need to know. The burden placed on him isn't just going to disappear, Iruka. No matter what he does, it will always be the elephant in the room. To anyone that doesn't know Naruto-kun personally, they will always see the shadow of the Kyuubi over him if they ever even see him at all. I could reiterate to the village over and over again that he is a hero, but that would do no good. They must come to their own conclusion on the matter. Unfortunately, for the most part it is usually the wrong conclusion. End flashback. Iruka-sensei? Naruto called out, sounding kind of hesitant. He slid the door to the room up at the top of the rows open and looked around before seeing Iruka at his desk. Hey there, sensei. You wanted to see me? Iruka sighed before smiling. Yes, I did, Naruto. I wanted to say that I'm very proud of you for proving that you were good enough to graduate, and also for saving my life. Naruto grinned widely as he started walking down the stairs towards Iruka and rubbed the back of his neck in what had to be his signature posture. No problem, sensei. I mean, you saved me first, didn't you? I just returned the favor, heh? Iruka smiled warmly at the boy. Well, how about I teach you something in return for helping me out yesterday? Hearing the word learning from Iruka sent a shiver down Naruto's spine. Learning was usually associated with lectures. Lectures were boring. Naruto hated boring. Naruto slowly backing away towards the door. That's okay, sensei, I didn't do anything big. And besides, I don't need it. I graduated, right, Databayo? Iruka gave Naruto a deadpan look. Naruto, I was going to teach you a jutsu. The word jutsu stopped Naruto right in his tracks and he seemingly teleported right into Iruka's face. A jutsu? You're going to teach me a jutsu? What is it? Is it a giant fireball? A tidal wave? What is it, Iruka-sensei? Iruka calmed Naruto down. I'll teach you this jutsu, but I want you to listen to me, okay? Naruto stood still and had a face of intent listening. Iruka cleared his throat. Now, as I said, I'm very proud of you for what you accomplished, and you should be too. Naruto beamed a smile at that. But you should know that things are only going to be harder from this point on. I want you to take everything I'm telling you to heart, as if I've never tried to tell you anything before this. But this time I want you to really listen to me and take note. Naruto frowned, but he was getting a jutsu out of this. Alright, Iruka-sensei. I'm listening. Iruka nodded and continued, you're going to be a ninja of Konoha, and that means that you're a soldier of this village, just like me. And just like me, you need to be ready to defend the people of this village with your life and do missions important to our prosperity. Naruto wanted to yawn. He knew this already. You have a responsibility to be the best that you can be. Whenever someone, especially another ninja, tells you something important, you need to listen. You also need to work at your weaknesses. Now tell me, what are you good at? Naruto immediately started. I've got the Oiroke no Jut dash. Be serious, Naruto. Iruka said seriously. Naruto squinted at Iruka. Why did no one take that move seriously? It's an effective technique. Alright, I have Henj Kawarimi. I can't do the Bunshin, but I have Kage Bunshin now, heh. He tapped his chin and thought, my taijutsu is awesome. He felt Iruka's glare on him. Okay, my taijutsu could be better. And my genjutsu, he trailed off. Iruka sighed and patted Naruto's head. That's okay, Naruto. You're just starting out, but that's what I mean. You have to get yourself together. You need to get all of the academy katas down and finish learning the taijutsu. I know you still have all of the take-home things I gave you for when you all were learning them, and I want you to practice. But Iruka-sensei, I'm a good fighter. Naruto whined. Iruka shook his head. Those are the most basic forms there are, Naruto. Made so that everyone can learn them, and they're good for branching out further for original styles later. It's a fantastic stepping stone. Everything you've learned in the academy is a stepping stone. The concepts of the 3 jutsu you had to learn are all rooted in the basis of many other far more complex jutsu. Kawarimi and Henj are 2 of the most adaptable ninjutsu in existence. Hence why we teach it. But I'm going off on a tangent. You're telling me. Naruto told himself, still listening intently. Iruka rested his hands on Naruto's shoulders. I know you can be a splendid ninja if you put your mind to it, but you need to work hard. I don't want you to slack off like you were doing in the academy, because if you do it out in the real world it can get you killed. Tons of genin die on their first real missions because they weren't ready for what the life entailed. I don't want that to happen to you, so if nothing else I want you to keep these things in mind. Naruto saw that Iruka's expression was completely genuine, and he had said these things out of concern for his well-being. Okay, Iruka-sensei. I'll try. Good. I'm counting on you to prove me right. After all, when you're Hokage, I want a raise for being the guy that was behind you all the way. He got a chuckle out of Naruto before he made a motion with his head. Now come on, let's teach you that jutsu I promised. Yada! Naruto shouted, almost making a dust cloud on his way out of the building. I'm getting an extra jutsu right out of the academy. Nobody else is getting that. Iruka's sweat dropped, and followed him out. XXX. Iruka had brought Naruto outside to the obstacle course field that was now deserted, seeing as school was not in session. Okay, Naruto, I'm about to teach you a move that I created myself. Hearing that Iruka had created his own jutsu made Naruto stare at him in awe, making Iruka feel pretty cool. People never think he's cool, so it was refreshing. Did you really make your own jutsu, Iruka-sensei? Naruto asked, gasping when Iruka proudly nodded. Wow, yep. Iruka rubbed under his nose pridefully. It doesn't need any hand seals. And it's pretty simple in theory too. It just takes a burst of chakra, really. It's kind of wasteful, but for someone like you I don't think you'll have any problems with it, especially after your little exhibition on Mizuki. Naruto laughed, remembering what he had done to get his rank. Alright, it's called Chakura Hankyuri no Jutsu, Chakra Echolocation Jutsu. It can be used to find things around you, like finding the location of things that you can't see. It's really good for tracking, or for scouting ahead for traps, or all kinds of things. It's a great sensor technique. Naruto squinted at Iruka throughout his entire explanation as if deep in thought, eventually unnerving the man. Naruto, do you have a question? Naruto simply kept staring at him with his closed eyes expression before he pointed abruptly. That's how you were always able to find me when I did stuff. Iruka face faulted, seemingly validating Naruto's theory. Damn it, I knew I wasn't making mistakes of leaving tracks. Do you have any idea how insane that kept driving me? I thought I just sucked at hiding. I was about to throw all those stealth lessons away and start just running in before fights since it looked like I could never stay hidden. Databeo. Iruka stood up and rubbed his face. If one thing was for sure, whenever he did his pranks Naruto definitely got some training in. So you started wearing that orange jumpsuit because I kept catching you and you decided to just discard all of the stealth lessons? Naruto looked away. No. I started wearing this last year, remember? Well, that was when I had the idea to paint the Hokage monument. Ha, I had it all planned out at the start of this school year, I just needed to test it that, and orange is awesome. Iruka looked at him strangely, jutsu lesson temporarily on hold so he could make sense of this. Wait. So you wore an orange jumpsuit to help you pull that off? Naruto nodded with a huge grin. Yeah. See, I started painting before the sun came up and I kept painting all through the sunrise in the suit. No one could see me when the sun wasn't up because it was pitch dark out, and during the sunrise dash. Iruka's jaw dropped. The idea was actually brilliant. In the early sun, Naruto's jumpsuit would blend right in as the sun hit the mountainside, making the mountain glow orange, and as the sun rose over the direction of the mountain, anyone looking that way would be blinded by the sun, even if they could distinguish Naruto while he was working. Did he even know how tactical that was? He needed to make sure Naruto cultivated that before he lost it. This kid might be able to write a book on tactics when he got older. Iruka shook that thought off for later. He wasn't letting this one go. Alright Naruto, now it's really simple. All you have to do is gather your chakra throughout your entire body and exert it outwardly in a single layer burst. You should get a feeling of everything around you. Closer objects should give a stronger presence than things further away. Got it? Naruto nodded. I've got it, Iruka-sensei. He placed his hands in the ram seal. When Iruka gave him a questioning look, Naruto blushed out of embarrassment. I kind of don't know how to focus my chakra without making hand seals yet. Iruka shook his head. That's another thing you need to work on, Naruto. But it's alright for now. Naruto did as he was instructed and projected his chakra outwards in a quick burst. He looked at Iruka after doing so and blinked blankly. So how was that? Iruka scratched his head. I don't know, you have to tell me. Did you feel anything? Naruto shrugged. How am I supposed to know? Can you tell me what it feels like when done right? Iruka took a moment to think. I'll be right back. Just yell for me when you're ready to do the jutsu again. I'll hear you and come running. Just see if you can feel which way I'm coming from. That should work. With that, Iruka disappeared from sight, leaving Naruto to build his chakra again. Naruto stood for a moment before getting in a mount he thought was good before shouting at the top of his lungs. Alright Iruka-sensei. I'm ready. He waited a second before letting the pulse go. He felt something moving at 7 o'clock and turned in the corresponding direction. Got you, Iruka-sensei. A few seconds later Iruka made it right next to Naruto. You felt me coming from all that way. He sounded surprised. That was from 400 meters away, that's a quarter of a mile. He tried to hide his shock under a guise of indifference. That's pretty good for just having gotten the jutsu down, but you need to get better at sensing things and reacting before they get close. If someone was throwing something at you, being able to sense it wouldn't do any good if you still can't dodge it. You'll get better the more you try it. Naruto had been expecting something big and flashy, but this was cool to him as well. Ha, no one's ever going to sneak up on me again with this Iruka-sensei. I'll get better with this jutsu than you are, and then I'll rename it to something cooler, Databayo. Iruka curled over by a tree with a rain cloud over his head. Why does everyone say the name of the jutsu isn't cool? I think I came up with a great name for it. Naruto ignored his thoughts on his jutsu and kept talking. I mean, it explains what it is and all, but you've got to come up with something that just screams badass. Something like, I see you motherfucker jutsu, or get out here and get your ass kicked jutsu, you know? Iruka coughed and got over his momentary lapse in self-esteem. Well, that's it, Naruto. That's all I've got for you. Naruto smiled up at the man. Thanks for everything, Iruka-sensei. I promise I'll make you proud. I know you will, Naruto. Iruka said, but remember the most important weapon a shinobi could ever have. A kunai? Naruto guessed. No. A log for kawarimi? And well, yes. But that's a lesson a lot of ninja don't know until much later, so good for you. Naruto grinned widely at the compliment, while Iruka continued. I'm talking about your mind. He accentuated by tapping his temple. Your mind is the most dangerous weapon that an enemy can encounter, especially your mind. Because I'm not really sure what goes through it 90% of the time, and anything you can't anticipate is always scary. Naruto nodded. Right. My mind is scary. Got it. Iruka palmed his face and dragged it down. Ugh, just don't be afraid of learning things, Naruto. Trust me, the smarter you are, the tougher you are to beat. Just look at Hokage-sama. They call him the professor because of all of his amassed knowledge. The better understanding of things you have, the stronger you can be. Naruto laughed. Well, then I'll just have to get smarter than the old man too. Thanks a lot, Iruka-sensei. I'll see you later. Naruto turned and took off away from the academy. I'm going to get some ramen. Wait until I tell everyone I passed. Iruka watched Naruto leave with a smile on his face. Konoha wasn't built in a day, I suppose, heh. You know, I think he actually listened to me more today than any other time in the last 6 years. XXX. Hiruzen was watching Iruka and Naruto's impromptu session from his crystal ball. Good work, Iruka. It seems that you're one of the most willing shinobi out there when it comes to passing the torch to the next generation. The old man let out a fond laugh. If only we had more shinobi like you in our ranks. Chapter 2. Too many questions, not enough answers. It had only been 1 day since Naruto had learned Chakura Hankyurai no Jutsu, Chakra Echolocation Jutsu, and he had barely stopped using it for the entire day before. Once he ate and bragged about his graduation to Tuchi and I am at Ichiraku Ramen, he went straight home and pretty much sat on his roof for hours just sending out pulse after pulse, scouting for anything he could sense. It was unarguably the stillest Naruto had ever sat for the longest period of time. Why didn't more people take the time to learn this jutsu from Iruka-sensei? As a matter of fact, why not teach it in the academy? It was so cool. Anyway, after doing that for a few hours of mindless entertainment, funny though, Iruka said it was wasteful on chakra. He didn't feel like he had been doing anything, but that was a whole different matter. After he was done playing with his new jutsu, he headed inside. He still had a week to wait out before he was to be at orientation, and he had nothing to do. He promised he wouldn't pull any more pranks, and he wasn't going to be able to top painting the Hokage monument anyway. He had absolutely nothing to do that night. There was no need to go to bed early or anything. He didn't have to be anywhere the next morning for an entire week, but he still didn't have a thing to do for that period of time. You need to get all of the academy katas down and finish learning the taijutsu. Iruka told him he needed to finish learning the taijutsu. Naruto always assumed he was passable in taijutsu because he was. It was the only thing he decisively passed no matter what in the academy because it didn't require him to learn anything or pay too much attention. All the attention he paid was in the beginning when they went over the most simple basics provided, how to punch and kick. That was it. He knew nothing else formal about it. Not how to dodge and parry, not even how to properly block. He never even really got reprimanded in taijutsu class because more often than not when they would spar he would win. He couldn't beat kids like Kiba or that asshole Sasuke, but pretty much everyone else he was able to at the very least hang tough against, because he launched an assault right when the fight would start. Even when he got hit he would just work on through it, counting on the fact that he could take more punches than his opponents. His style was no style, he was a hard-nosed brawler, and it had suited him fine to this point. But he promised that he would try that, and he didn't have anything to do and it was too late to go out and run amok. What he forgot, however, was that he had never bothered to even keep his stuff together from the academy. When he got homework, or some other handout that he didn't do right there on the spot, it usually got forgotten among some clutter, and he hadn't touched anything on taijutsu in forever. Hence the rest of his night awake was spent with him, digging all over the apartment for his stuff on academy taijutsu. When he had woken up the next morning 2 hours were spent with him retrieving the rest of his scrolls on taijutsu, and by the time he had finished that, and had some breakfast he was too bored to just sit in his apartment to read them. Deciding to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, he left the house in search of somewhere interesting that could help him hold his attention long enough to get to the practical application of the academy taijutsu, because after learning basic stance and punches and kicks, Iruka went into lecture mode for about a month after that, killing Naruto's buzz so to speak and letting his attention on the matter drop. At least this time I can skip all of the boring stuff and just learn the cool moves in the scroll, Naruto thought to himself as he walked through the village. He held the scroll in his hand, looking at it as he navigated the village streets on autopilot. He didn't really need to keep his eyes ahead of him. People usually always gave him a wide berth when he was going anywhere, something he didn't really understand, but that was the way it had been for as long as he could remember. That was okay. All he had to do was show them how awesome he was and then everything would change, which was going to happen any day now that he was finally a ninja. Kids would be asking him for autographs, he'd hear people reference his greatness even in conversations where his name wasn't even in the topic. Appraising eyes would be on him every time he went into public. Yep, he couldn't wait. I can't wait to show everyone how much ass I kick. I've got to go learn this taijutsu so I can get started. With a huge grin on his face, Naruto sped off towards the verdant forests of Konoha to find somewhere to get to work. XXX. Naruto was incredibly disappointed when he finally reached his spot in the forest he had chosen to train at. The Academy Taijutsu scroll only had a few basics. How to throw textbook punches, kicks, how to block to minimize damage, how to notice your opponent telegraphing an attack, just those basics. The most advanced thing in the scroll he found was how to trap a limb, and that was where that little hint of instruction stopped with the words "from here, utilize advanced grappling knowledge." When the hell had they gone over that? And why didn't he have a scroll on it? Naruto growled and stood up to go through the motions that were actually provided in instruction on the scroll, as he really didn't know those things actually except for the punches and kicks. Blocking was harder to get, seeing as he needed a training partner. And then he proceeded to slam his head off of a tree as he realized that he had a built-in training partner from the jutsu he had learned from the Scroll of Seals. With a clone made via Kagebunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu, Naruto had him play living dummy as he directed the clone to hold its hands out and catch his punches and kicks, so that Naruto didn't have to smash them up on a tree. It would always dispel after blocking a few, but he could always bring out another one no matter how irksome it was. This went on for 30 minutes before Naruto decided to drill his defense, making a clone that was grinning at the potential prospect brought along by his order, which was to punch and kick the original Naruto while he tried blocking, parrying, and eventually catching the punches in his grasp. He set himself in his basic stance and prepared for practicing his blocking, which didn't really work out too well for him. Right off the bat, Naruto's clone immediately took to pummeling his creator, per his orders, not even letting Naruto reset himself to try again. And then it basically devolved into Naruto rolling around and brawling with himself on the forest floor. "Ow! You bit me!" the original Naruto shouted before dispelling his unruly clone with a hard smash over the head. "Stupid troublemaking Kagebunshin." Naruto stood back up and smashed his fist against the tree, forcing the leaves to shake violently. A kunai then deposited itself right above where his hand was against the tree, forcing Naruto to turn around and let out a pulse to determine his attacker's exact location. Naruto turned in the exact direction he felt a living presence with a serious look. "Who's there? You might as well come out, I can find you no matter what." Naruto sounded pretty tough, but that kunai came close to pinning him to a tree, and the other night while playing with his new jutsu he had gotten used to sensing distance. He sensed the person that did that from about 500 feet away. That was scary aim even though they missed, and he hoped that they had missed on purpose. After a few seconds a brown-eyed girl with brown hair put up into buns came out, looking over Naruto warily, the favor being returned right back to her. She had on a sleeveless pink Chinese top and dark green pants. The thing Naruto noted was that she had on her own headband signifying her as a ninja of the village, and he had left his at home, only planning to wear it once orientation took place. Naruto pulled at the kunai she had thrown into the tree trunk out with quite a bit of effort as he kept his eyes on her, How hard did she throw this thing? Finally he managed to pull the kunai out and held it out in front of him suspiciously. Why did you throw that at me? He finally asked. The girl spoke up with conviction in her voice. For the last 45 minutes all I hear from my spot training in the forest is a lot of yelling and shouting, and then a bunch of cursing, and finally someone starts sounding like they're going to tear the forest apart. Let's just say I don't like leaving things unsolved and leave it at that. Now who are you? Naruto still didn't really drop his guard. Mizuki wasn't supposed to try and kill him either, and that still happened. Uzumaki Naruto. Future Hokage, Databayo. You have to be a ninja first before you can try being Hokage, kid. Naruto got a tick mark on his head from how she was talking to him. Naruto snapped at her. I am a ninja. I'm no different than you. The girl didn't verbally respond, she simply audibly tapped the metal of her headband. You need one of these to distinguish yourself as a ninja of this village. So where's yours? Damn it. So most of this could have been avoided if he had just worn the headband. He wasn't leaving that thing home ever again. I didn't bring it. I didn't know I would need to actually identify myself today. I don't even have orientation until next week. The girl's distrustful look switched over to one of amusement as her seemingly hostile posture straightened up. She walked over to Naruto and ruffled his hair. Ah, you're just a baby rookie, huh? She grinned at him as he shook her hand off of his head. Naruto replied crossly, you're treating me like a 5-year-old. I'm a legal adult now, a fully fledged ninja. Of course you are. The girl pinched Naruto's cheek, taking pride in the twitching eyebrows signifying his ire at the current predicament. Such a big tough ninja that hasn't even put his headband on yet, or even gone on a mission. So precious. Naruto's voice came out distorted due to the girl's grabbing of his cheek. You know you're not any older than me, so you can't be that much farther advanced. She raised an eyebrow. I've been a genin for a little over a year. That's an eternity compared to a newbie like you. I'd squash you if we were ever to fight. Oh yeah? Naruto felt insulted. Who did this girl think she was? Why did everyone think they could just walk all over him all of the time? Even when people don't know him at all, it still happened. How about you put your money where your mouth is? The girl once again looked sufficiently amused by his statement. Alright then. You're lucky that my team broke off for the day so that we could all train on our own, so now I've got some time to play with you. Follow me. She finished by taking her kunai back out of Naruto's grasp. Naruto flexed his fingers in anticipation as he followed this new girl into a clearing to fight. This was his first legitimate fight against a ninja since Mizuki, and he was going to make her eat her words. The girl stood out in front of him with a confident look on her face. I'll go easy on you and wrap this up in 3 minutes, Naruto-chan. She taunted. Naruto grit his teeth. She was seriously messing with him now. Oh yeah? I don't know who you are, so I know damn well that you don't know me. I'll tell you this though, don't underestimate me. Naruto broke out in a rush right at the kunoichi, planning to just knock her block off and be done here so he could be productive again. The girl's jaw almost dropped at how straightforward this guy was. The space between them was 30 yards that he had to cover before he could even think of taking a swing at her, and he wasn't even that fast. Hell, one of her teammates hopping towards her on one leg would probably be faster than this kid was moving. She had to refrain from shaking her head as she pulled out a set of shuriken. She really didn't want to hurt this kid. Naruto ended up falling onto his face as sharp pains hit him in multiple places on his body. Naruto rolled over and looked at his legs to see multiple shurikens sticking out the front of them going down. He looked up in surprise at his female opponent, who had a displeased look on her face. If that's all you've got, then go home. I could have killed you right there and been done with it if this were an actual battle. Naruto's eyes widened. She was right. He barely even saw anything coming at him, and she hit him flush. Ignoring this, Naruto pulled the shuriken out of his legs and stood back up. She hadn't hit him anywhere vital, or even anywhere important. So she was using weapons, was she? Naruto reached into his own supply pouch and let off a barrage of shuriken at the girl, who simply smirked and threw more of her own, hitting each of Naruto's and knocking them out of the air. She was looking too smug for him to just quit and leave. Not without hitting her once, not without just giving her one good one to prove he wasn't pathetic. Naruto lifted his hands and made a cross seal with his fingers. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. The young girl's eyes widened as she saw one Naruto multiply into 12. She was so surprised she almost missed his shout of go, that spurred all of them into action. The sight of so many Narutos charging in at her, and the realization that they weren't regular Bunshin and were real, almost made her run away, but she got herself under control and focused. It didn't matter if there were 12 of him. 12 times 0 was still 0. Naruto planned on giving her the old Mizuki special, but he figured she was a genin and Mizuki was an elite. Sending that many would be complete overkill, so 12 was enough. He thought that right until a bow staff appeared in her hands in a puff of smoke, and she began decimating his clones. Seeing a girl his age masterfully handle a 6-foot-long staff so effectively, his clones weren't even getting close enough to mount an offense, was disheartening. What did he have? What? Was he going to just flood the field with clones like against Mizuki and beat her to a bloody pulp because she had skill that he didn't have? He didn't even think that Team Sasuke could beat this girl. Who are you? Naruto asked when she finished mowing his Kage Bunshin down. The girl set the head of her staff on the ground in her hand and wiped her brow. It took you long enough to ask. How rude. My name is Tenten. So are we done? Naruto frowned. What did he have other than the Kage Bunshin? That was his trump card, his best technique, the strongest thing he had. He could have kept making them for as long as he wanted, but she would have just kept killing them off, and he didn't like his own chances of getting close to her the way his replicas had been put out of commission. No. A win was a win, and he would be damned if he was just going to lay down and let this girl beat him without at least trying to triumph. Naruto channeled his chakra and formed his hand seal again. Tajua Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, multiple shadow clone jutsu. Okay, seeing a rookie that hadn't even had a day on the job make solid clones was an eye-opener for Tenten, but this was ridiculous. She was surrounded on all sides by Naruto's clones that were giving her a wide berth to avoid the staff, but it was only a matter of time before he sent them in. She knew this. It was only logical. Tenten quickly pulled out 2 scrolls and set them on the ground while making a short set of hand seals. Go! Naruto shouted, ordering his Kage Bunshin to put Tenten down hard. Sushiryu, twin rising dragons. Tenten's scrolls unraveled upwards in a swirling pattern of smoke as she jumped between them and began unsealing weapons from the scrolls, surrounding her. She then proceeded to mercilessly bombard Naruto's horde of copies with every single weapon she had amassed inside of her scrolls. Not just the standard fare of kunai and shuriken, Tenten pelted the poor clones with fuma shuriken, a mace, sickles, samban, katanas. She even threw out a few broadswords and everything she threw hit. Nothing she flung at the Kage Bunshin missed its mark. All of them forgot about attacking and simply focused on surviving, but there was nowhere to go. They were in the middle of a clearing, the closest cover was 60 yards away and Tenten wasn't taking prisoners. In a matter of moments Tenten had cleared the field of every single image of Naruto she had been aiming at. She landed back on the ground and her scrolls went slack as the field was covered in the leftover smoke from all of the clones. Tenten grimaced at her handiwork. She knew she hadn't missed a single one. They were far too slow for her to miss on her worst day. She looked around for the real Naruto. She hoped she hadn't injured him too badly with all of that. She might have gone a little overboard. Kid, are you still alive? Say something. She began walking and looking about the field that was hazy from all of the Kage Bunshin smoke that was steadily dispersing. The area finally cleared up and Tenten couldn't see Naruto anywhere. There was no blood or anything either, signifying if he ran away or not. A poof sound directed her attention behind her where all she saw upon turning was a flash of yellow and orange, before a fist closed in on her face. Dynamic entry. A green blur came from out of nowhere and plowed a flying kick into the side of Naruto's face, sending him flying off from his surprise attack on Tenten and sending him sliding through the amassed weapons from Tenten's jutsu. The blur turned out to be a boy their age in a green bodysuit, orange leg warmers, bandaged hands, and a red headband around his waist as a belt. He had a black bowl-cut hairstyle and large eyebrows over round black eyes. He stood protectively in front of Tenten in a fighting stance. I cannot allow you to harm my teammate. Such an underhanded attack on my youthful female comrade. Lee? Tenten said questioningly as she saw Naruto struggling and failing to pick himself up off of the ground. Her mood turned from confusion to annoyance. Lee, that was what he was supposed to do. We were sparring. He was supposed to try and hit me. The boy now identified as Lee stood up out of his stance and looked at Tenten in a puzzled manner before his face turned apologetic. I am sorry, Tenten. I simply saw him appear and attack you from behind and I just acted. I apologize. Tenten shook her head. Whatever. I'm not the one you need to apologize to. I'm not the one that got blindsided and knocked senseless. She turned her head towards Naruto, who had finally pulled himself into a sitting position. Naruto sat on the ground rubbing his face and clearing the mass amounts of weapons around him so that he didn't get cut or stabbed by anything. What the hell hit him? 1 second he was so close to nailing that Tenten chick right on the chin he could see the fear in her eyes, and then he was over here 40 feet away and feeling like chewing would be a pipe dream in the near future. He stopped thinking when he saw the object of his last attack kneel down in front of him with an apologetic look on her face. I'm sorry about that. My hot-headed teammate jumped the shark and interrupted the fight. Naruto looked at her eyes exuding remorse for his appearance. He dabbed at his face with his hand and pulled it away. When he was hit, his face must have dragged across the ground quite a bit from the blood he saw when he touched it. He must have cut it up on any of Tenten's myriad of weaponry. Are you alright? A smirk crossed Naruto's face suddenly. I told you I'd last more than 3 minutes. Naruto then noticed how concerned she sounded and gave her a reassuring grin. Sure, I'll be fine. This will all heal up by tomorrow, he said loudly before clutching his jaw. He had opened it too far to talk. He looked over and saw a strange guy in green. He must have been the douche that hit him. He probably fractured his jaw. I am terribly sorry for kicking you. The green guy said frantically. It's just I was not aware that it was a spar. I thought you were trying to harm my teammate, and I just jumped right in, and dash. Lee. Tenten cut him off from speaking any further. I think he gets it. You're sorry. Lee stopped moving around and spazzing out. Yes, Tenten is correct. I apologize for harming you. The boy bowed to him before straightening out and giving him a smile. I am Konoha's beautiful green beast, Rock Lee. Did his teeth just sparkle? Naruto figured he must have been concussed or something and shook it off. Well then, I'm Uzumaki Naruto, the next Hokage, Databeo. What a youthful goal. Lee shouted to the skies. I myself have high dreams, as does our dear Tenten. I wish to be a world-famous ninja known only for my taijutsu, and Tenten wishes to be a ninja on par both strength and reputation-wise with Tsunade. Naruto just nodded once he heard Tenten's dream. He had no idea who that was. He rubbed his jaw again once Lee's goal registered with him. Well, you're off to a good start, both of you, actually. Naruto looked at the weapons surrounding him. You didn't miss once. Tenten smiled at him before it fell. Wait, I missed you. Naruto shook his head. No, you never threw anything at me. You just destroyed all of my clones. After you cut down a few, I hid in the smoke and hinged into one of the weapons that you threw. That was really scary though. Tenten held out a hand and helped Naruto to his feet. You almost got me. If Lee hadn't kicked you, I would probably be face up looking at the clouds right now wondering what happened. Naruto grinned at her widely. Henji no Jutsu, transformation jutsu, is super useful. I was never going to get close enough to do anything to you the way you were fighting. Rubbing the back of her head sheepishly, she laughed a little. What can I say? I like weapons. She then let out a sigh. But now I have to pick up and reseal all of these. Lee gave her a rigid salute. I will help you retrieve all of your ninja tools, Tenten. With that he ran off around the entire clearing, picking up the weaponry. Naruto was shocked at his speed and then turned to Tenten. So that's why it looks so easy for you to hit me if he's your teammate. That guy is insane fast. You have no idea. Tenten agreed, but you weren't bad. Yes, I was. Naruto looked down. You said it yourself that you could have killed me right at the start. And even then the only way I could even get close was with that trick. Well, duh. Tenten said with a roll of her eyes. That's what a shinobi is supposed to do, catch their opponent off guard and finish them off. It's not like you had any weapon to get near me with anyway. You had to fight like that or you would have never gotten near me. Naruto's face lit up at that. Actually, I did have a weapon. A weapon more dangerous than any of yours. Tenten looked at him, anticipating his answer. My mind. Tenten blinked at him before bursting into laughter, forcing her to double over and hold herself up on her knees. Your mind? Okay then, whatever you say, she finished with a giggle. Yosh! Lee deposited all of Tenten's weapons in a neat pile by her two scrolls and saluted her. Tenten, Guy-sensei sent me here to retrieve you so that we could take a mission. You should hurry and get back to our training ground. Lee turned his attention to Naruto. It was nice to meet you, Naruto-san. I hope I will see you around the village one day. With that, Lee ran out of the clearing away from Naruto and Tenten. Tenten sighed and walked over to her scrolls, quickly sealing her tools back inside of them. Whoa! She looked at Naruto oddly, getting him to continue. That was cool. How did you do that? Tenten almost face-faulted. That was just me sealing my weapons back up. I learned how to do that in the academy, didn't you? Naruto looked away sheepishly and mumbled. What was that? She asked him. I said I was the dead last. He shouted before going silent, expecting her to start making fun of him, laugh at him, or just start treating him like everyone else did, ignoring him. Tenten gave him a warm smile. But you graduated, didn't you? Graduating last is better than not graduating at all, right? She pocketed her scrolls and patted him on the shoulder. You know, Lee was the dead last of our class last year too. Naruto looked up at her with bulging eyes. Yep. He can't do any ninjutsu and barely passed, and now look at him. I would rather have him on my side than any of those others from our year. So don't worry about it. Naruto couldn't believe it. That guy had been the dope too? How did he get so good? He was so fast I don't think anyone in my class could even touch him. Tenten put up one finger. He trained very hard. She then turned to leave the field. See you around, Naruto. If you ever want a rematch, you can usually find me here on days where my team doesn't meet. Naruto watched her leave and waved at her, getting a wave back. He looked at the field. He had just used to more or less get his ass kicked, so that's how strong a genin is after 1 year of being a ninja. His face formed a small grin. Well, it looks like I'm just going to have to get better than that, won't I? XXX. After getting bored with the monotony of just going through taijutsu katas for hours, Naruto headed back into town. The cuts he had suffered from his little scuffle were steadily healing, but he still had to head home to grab some bandages, making him look like he had lost the fight. He basically had, but he still didn't like looking like he did in public. He simply kept to himself and wandered about, thinking on what he had done today. Tenten kicked my ass. All those Kage Bunshin were useless when it came to getting close to her. She was really good with those weapons. I almost got her though after I did that trick with Henge. Huh, so that's what Iruka-sensei meant by my brain is my most dangerous weapon. Naruto's wandering had taken him from the business and residential districts of Konoha he normally found himself frequenting and brought him over to the side of the village that was more focused on military matters. He hadn't been here much because there was never really any need to do anything except go and hang out with the Sandaime Hokage for a bit. That actually didn't sound like a half-bad idea, come to think of it. With a new course of action set in his mind, Naruto headed towards the Hokage Tower where once he arrived, the guards gave him a cautious look. He got that look more often than not, but in this case he figured they had some reason to look at him like that. He had just broken in 2 days ago and stolen a scroll full of village secrets. As he headed towards the office he greeted the pretty secretary that let him go inside where he found the old Kage sitting at his desk with a lit pipe in hand. You shouldn't smoke that stuff, Sarutobi Gigi. You're already old enough, don't let the smoke kill you faster. The old man chuckled at Naruto and put his pipe out for the boy's benefit. Naruto-kun. What can I do for you today? He then got a good look at his face. What on earth happened to you? Naruto grinned awkwardly. I kind of got into a fight with an older genin a little while ago. The old man frowned disapprovingly. You shouldn't be picking fights with your comrades, Naruto-kun. You should know better than that. I'm disappointed. Naruto looked down ashamedly. He didn't even bother telling him that Tenten more or less started it, as he didn't think that would go over so well as an excuse even if he had. I'm sorry, Gigi. I learned a lesson though. She kind of handed me my ass for most of it. Hiruzen's mood improved and he let out another aged chuckle. Well, you are just a fresh genin, Naruto. She's been at this for at least a year if she's older than you from the way you sound. A year of hard training and field experience while you were still in the academy makes her a better shinobi just out of principle. About the academy, Naruto figured he might as well ask while it was fresh on his brain before he forgot. I was going over some stuff about the academy taijutsu. All it had was the basic stuff, and the only thing it said on anything else was something I didn't even had. I checked later and I couldn't find it. Something about advanced grappling knowledge, but I don't have anything on that. The old man stood up and rested his hand on Naruto's shoulder as he led him out of his office. I'll show you this now since you're a shinobi now, Naruto-kun. Come with me. The Sandaime Hokage led Naruto out to the roof of the tower where he proceeded to use Shunshin no Jutsu, body flicker jutsu, to take them to a building at the top of the Hokage monument. Naruto looked at Sarutobi, who started walking ahead of Naruto towards the building. Can you teach me how to do that, Gigi? Naruto asked excitedly. Maybe you can teach it to yourself, Naruto-kun. The Hokage motioned for Naruto to catch up with him. After the boy caught up, he proceeded to open a massive set of double doors. Behind the set of doors lay a massive room with row after row of books and scrolls. Where are we, Sarutobi Gigi? Naruto wondered. He had never been anywhere near this place before. When he went to the top of the Hokage monument, all he ever did was go to look off over the edge at the village. Hiruzen smiled. This is the Konoha Archive Library. Located here is tons of information on things like village history, ninja both past and current, and all sorts of other things. Naruto deflated. I thought this was going to be cool. All this place has are a bunch of musty books and scrolls. Hiruzen shrugged. Oh, I was going to say that I thought a few ninja techniques were here as well. But if you aren't interested, he baited Naruto. And he didn't let him down. Hold on. Naruto stopped Hiruzen. You say that there are all kinds of stuff here like jutsu too, right? There are a few if you actually comb through and look. Hiruzen knew he had him now. Just the prospect at learning a new jutsu had Naruto ready to go. Well then, let's get going then. Naruto yelled before a harsh shush sounded out from the man seated at the front desk. A middle-aged man with close-cut black hair and a small, high ponytail, a goatee, glasses, and a long white jacket, open to show a dark orange shirt and black pants. The man sighed. You can't just yell in the middle of this place, you know. This is a facility for quiet study. Please don't disrupt the shinobi here to work. Naruto blushed and rubbed the back of his head. Sorry, Aji-san. It won't happen again. Hiruzen chuckled and patted Naruto on the head. Naruto, this is Ikeda Atsuto. He is the head of Konoha's cryptanalysis squad. Wow. Naruto said as he looked at the average-looking man. You must be a really important guy then, huh? I'm just a basic librarian when I'm not needed to work. The man smiled slightly. Heh, a bookworm's good for something in a hidden village after all. Now what can I do for you, Hokage-sama? Hiruzen led Naruto closer to his desk. Well, Uzumaki Naruto-kun here just graduated and he would like to go through your library to see if he could find something on advanced grappling techniques to bolster his academy taijutsu, and some cool jutsu. Naruto cut in loudly before covering his mouth suddenly. Sorry, I forgot. Atsuto waved it off. It's alright, but I'm kind of iffy on exactly where the volumes on taijutsu are. He looked at Naruto appraisingly. He is a shinobi, isn't he? Yes. He is a recent graduate. Hiruzen assured him. I most certainly wouldn't have brought him if he weren't. He simply neglected to wear his headband today. Isn't that right, Naruto-kun? Naruto was sure there was a lesson in that comment somewhere. It was the second time today that he almost got himself into trouble for not wearing that thing. He just wanted to keep it looking good for orientation. If he had worn it, he would have gotten it all scuffed in his little scrap with Tenten, or it would have gotten all sweaty, or he could have lost it. He was trying to be responsible. Yes, Gigi, Naruto said as if he had just been lightly scolded. Atsuto nodded. Alright then, next time make sure you wear it. Only shinobi of Konoha or those with express permission from the Hokage can come in here and examine our archives. Now let me get someone to help you. Shiho! He shouted out into the mostly still library, getting Naruto and Hiruzen to sweat drop at the hypocrisy. A surprised yelp came before some swift rummaging noises. Seconds later, a girl with blonde hair darker than Naruto's tied back in a ponytail with a red hairband and glasses that looked like swirls were in them where her eyes should have gone on her face came out and stood in front of Atsuto's desk. Her hair had occasional strands sticking up, making her look slightly disheveled. She had on a long dark red dress and a long white coat like Atsuto, only she held her coat together with a black headband worn like a backward sash around her waist. Yes, sensei? What can I do for you? Shiho said once she had gotten to the front. Atsuto smiled at the girl and turned to Naruto. This is my genin apprentice Shiho. If you'd like, I'm certain she'd help you find anything it is that you are looking for here. Shiho, go ahead and say hello to the Hokage and meet Uzumaki Naruto. The girl turned around and saw Naruto, who gave her a tentative wave. The girl returned it with a smile. Hello Hokage-sama, and hello Uzumaki-kun. I'd be happy to help out. All I was doing before this was just putting back some of the books those other lazy ninja didn't bother with. Speaking of which, did you finish that? Atsuto said with a look that had a dangerous gleam in his eye. Shiho recoiled slightly. I was almost done, but then you called me to meet Uzumaki-kun. Sorry, sensei. The man laughed. It's alright, Shiho, as long as it gets done before you head home for the day. Now if you would, please help Naruto here get situated. Hiruzen sighed. Well, I have to get back to the office and complete my work. Please take good care of Naruto-kun here if you could, Shiho-chan. With that, the old man bade everyone farewell and returned to the Hokage Tower. Atsuto waved for the two youngsters to leave him to his busy work. Now both of you go on and show Naruto what the library has for a young ninja like him. You can finish your work later, Shiho. Shiho nodded and motioned for Naruto to follow her into the archives. Come with me, please. After they started walking for a bit, Shiho started talking. So this is your first time here? Naruto laughed and placed his hands behind his head. Yeah, I just graduated the other day and Gigi brought me here so I could figure out something that I couldn't find on taijutsu from the academy stuff. Well, the academy taijutsu is more of something that was used as a building block to help keep students in shape and give them a base in learning more advanced styles later. Shiho replied succinctly as they kept walking. Yeah, Naruto said, squinting. Iruka-sensei said that too. Shiho nodded and smiled. Well, you graduated. That's good for you. I graduated last year, but I wasn't able to actually become a ninja due to well-related circumstances. I shouldn't say. Naruto looked at her sorrowfully. Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry, I'm probably making you feel bad with all of this, aren't I? Shiho waved off his concern. Oh no, don't worry about it. Because of sensei, I'm still technically an active shinobi and I still do missions from time to time, but I'm here more often than not. It actually might have been the best thing to happen to me. Atsuto-sensei found me after it happened and extended an invitation to be his apprentice in the cryptanalysis squad. I actually like doing that more than I would have liked being a shinobi. Fighting never really was my strong suit in the academy. I wasn't too good at the practical parts. If I hit you, it would probably feel like a paper bag brushed against your face, she said with a slight laugh as she threw a fake punch at Naruto that brushed against his cheek jokingly. Naruto let out a laugh himself. Hey, you never know. I'm not too good myself. I just got a bit of a beatdown today myself, but it's going to be alright. A Hokage never lets a little setback stop him. Shiho liked this Naruto kid. There weren't too many shinobi around her age heading to the library for her to talk to, and he didn't treat her like a useless nerd so far. It didn't seem to bother him that she wasn't a real ninja at all. You want to be Hokage Uzumaki-kun? Naruto grinned at her. You'd better believe it, Shiho-chan. I'm going to be the best Hokage there ever was. You'll see, then when you're the head of this department we can run this village, Dadabayo. Both of them turned down an aisle as directed by Shiho. That sounds good. Just make sure you give me a raise, okay? She said as she trailed her finger along the edges of the books to find her place. Okay, here's a book on basics of shinobi combat, she said as she placed it in his hands. It's a good read and it's pretty helpful. Naruto looked at the book. Essential knowledge on shinobi tactics, styles, and skills. Shiho-chan, I just wanted the taijutsu scroll on the grappling stuff or some cool looking styles so I could see if I could learn it before orientation so that I have more cool moves to show off. Naruto whined. Why are you making me read this? Shiho rolled her eyes. Because all of that stuff you want is all well and good, but if you don't know how or when to use it, then it's not going to help, is it? She questioned. If you did end up getting a new style from out of here and then somehow learned it well enough to use it by orientation, you still wouldn't have any knowledge on what to do with it. Like if you wanted to engage from 100 feet away, how would you get there? Run right at them and hope they stand still and wait for you. Naruto blushed as he realized that little plan of action didn't exactly work out today against Tenten. Okay, he said begrudgingly. I'll read this then, I promise. He gave a defeated sigh as Shiho gave him a victorious smile and a V sign before taking him to a table to sit and read at. Shiho seated him and patted him on the back. Okay, Uzumaki-kun. Get started reading this and I'll see if I can find the stuff on taijutsu that you want. She looked back towards the archives and slumped her shoulders. I really wish there was someone else working today other than me and sensei, though help would be nice. You need help? Naruto vacantly made the seal for his strongest jutsu after cracking the book open with a bored look. I can do that. Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu, multiple shadow clone jutsu. A puff of smoke surrounded Naruto and Shiho before revealing a dozen Narutos all looking around blankly. There you go. Help Shiho-chan find what she's looking for. I'll just stay here and read, he said distastefully. The clones looked at each other before shrugging. Better to do this than to read, poor boss. The clones thought before one turned to Shiho. Okay, Shiho-chan, where do we start? Shiho stared at them in disbelief before poking the one closest to her. They're all real? That move must be so complex? What is he doing here then? He must be a genius or something. The clones all blushed in embarrassment. Actually, we were the dead last this year, but that doesn't mean anything. Shiho nodded. Not if this jutsu you have here has anything to say about it. Now come on, let's go find the Real Uzumaki-kun his scrolls. Naruto simply read along while his clones and Shiho went searching through the place for what he asked for. He promised her he would read this, and she was a nice enough girl. He didn't want to upset his new friend right after meeting her just because he was too much of a blockhead to try and crack a book for once. A ninja's style is an approach to combat that makes use of that ninja's strengths and talents. It then proceeded to give off a list of different cataloged styles and the direct page number to skip to, something Naruto was thankful for as he didn't have to read the whole thing if he found something he liked. Long-range, mid-range, and close-range styles. Remembering how Tenten fought, he flipped to the section on long-range, marksman. That sounds like her alright. Marksman, a style more suited for support than for direct attack, is most useful in events of surprise attack to take down multiple foes before they can react, weakening an enemy's defenses, and diverting their attention away from the main attack. A marksman's best bet in a fight is to stay at a distance from an opponent to keep out of the enemy's range and safely bombard them with accurate attacks. Good reflexes and impeccable hand-eye coordination are the hallmark of a good marksman. Marksmen are usually weak against wind-type ninjutsu as their weapons must fly through the air to reach the target. Naruto sighed, man, if only I was a wind-type or even knew how to be one. Then Tenten would have been done for. He laughed to himself at the thought of a chibi Tenten throwing stuff at him, and Naruto just lifting one hand and blowing it away like paper. He kept reading through styles such as puppeteering, which sounded cool, but they were all from Sunigakure, and Naruto couldn't even find that place on an unlabeled map, let alone actually know someone from there, so no dice whatsoever there. He read about Sensor Ninja, a type of ninja able to detect the presence of others through their chakra. He was pretty new at that as he couldn't really use Chakura Hankiri no Jutsu, chakra echolocation jutsu, far enough for it to be effective enough to call him a proper sensor yet. He eventually lost himself in the book, jumping around and reading parts that he found cool enough to pay attention to for the better part of an hour. Uzumaki-kun. Shiho ran back to his table with a scroll in hand. I found the scrolls you were looking for. She placed 3 scrolls on the table. This is what me and your clones worked out as what you might like to use. Naruto looked up from his book. Oh, I know. Shiho looked at him strangely. How would you know? You were here the whole time. Why would you possibly know what I had done with your clones? That thought caused Naruto to pause. Why did he know? He remembered doing stuff with Shiho before climbing the bookcase to grab the scrolls at the top, it almost tipping over and Shiho screaming, causing him to lose his balance and fall. That was what jumped into his head about 2 minutes ago. Shiho had a thought. I'll be right back, Uzumaki-kun. While Shiho left to head back into the archives, Naruto looked over what she had left. 3 scrolls, Yaoashi, soft foot, Umiti, long blade hand, and Nabaken, sticky fist. Yaoashi, soft foot, was out almost immediately when Naruto read it. Not only did the name turn him off as it made him sound like a ballerina, it didn't seem like his kind of style. It revolved around using your legs for feints, and neglecting the use of your hands to deal damage in exchange for kicks. The hands were never used, even when it came to blocking. Head movement and simply being elusive were the touted defenses of the style. It required good coordination and fast feet. Naruto didn't even know how to train to get fast feet, and he tripped on his own feet walking down the street from time to time. He wasn't too coordinated. Umiti, long blade hand, was a cool concept, but the practice turned Naruto off from learning it. It required you to build up the hardness of the tips of your fingers and the knife edge of your hand for powerful chops and straight hand thrusts that could be shoved right through an opponent. It sounded cool in practice, but the training to get your hands that strong in the first place, however, was to repeatedly break your fingertips and pinky side of your hand enough times while learning the strikes that the bones would calcify and harden over time to increase hardness. The only good thing about that style to Naruto was that he would have to drink more milk. The last style hooked him in. Nabaken, sticky fist, went right along with what he had caught notice of in the Academy Taijutsu text of advanced grappling. It basically compounded on what to do after you had trapped a limb on your opponent. After grabbing an enemy's arm or leg, you would either pull them in and deliver shockingly powerful punches, forearm and elbow strikes, knees, shoulder shots, headbutts, and short joint attacks powered by physical strength and momentum to disable your opponent, and keep them close or keep them literally at arm's reach and pick apart their open defenses with fast looping kicks. It was also the simplest to train. All it required was someone willing to take a beating in order to learn its nuances due to how close one had to remain to an opponent to launch attacks and willing partners to be training dummies. Naruto had an abundance of both, as this fit in best with his take 3 to give one brawling style, and he had Kage Bunshin to beat on for as long as he needed. Naruto's head snapped up suddenly. Shiho-chan, what was that all about? You've got to be joking, he cried suddenly. He left his book and scrolls on the table and rushed through the archives to find Shiho standing with a smile on her face. Naruto dropped to his knees in front of her. Please tell me you're joking, Shiho-chan. I can't afford that. Shiho was fighting hard to keep from laughing out loud. I can't afford a 30,000 real fee for library use. Shiho broke down and started laughing. I'm sorry, Uzumaki-kun, it was a joke. But it did end up proving my theory right. How did you know I said that? I was all the way over here. You told my clone, didn't you? Naruto said plainly, as if it was unimportant. Shiho just stood there counting the seconds until it hit him what he had just said, and realizing that him being his year's dead last might not be so unfounded. Wait, you told my clone? How did I know about it? Sure, Shiho said, trying to settle him down. I don't know, but you obviously get your clones' memories after they get dispelled. Do you know what this means? Naruto shook his head and a shine reflected off of the girl's glasses. You could read like 7 books at once as long as you use your clones and still get the information they got from it. Naruto's face lit up. So I can make my clones read these books while I train and do actual cool stuff? Shiho nodded. Yada. Sure. The sounds of others audibly shushing Naruto erupted from all around the library, breaking Shiho into a mess of giggles as Naruto apologized quietly. Make some more of those Kage Bunshin Uzumaki-kun. There's so much you need to know before you become an active ninja. You won't be a dead last by the time I'm through with you. Shiho grabbed onto Naruto's wrist and swiftly dragged him through different aisles, loading him up with books. He had to wonder what part of her wasn't conditioned to be a field ninja, because she was dragging him and half a dozen books around the place like they were weightless. Chapter 3. The first day of the rest of your life. Naruto had been frequenting the library pretty much every day with a few clones. He wanted to make enough to fill the library with them, but both Atsuto and Shiho weren't going to tolerate a library full of Narutos when only one was more than enough to raise a ruckus and cause a disturbance, thus forcing him to keep the clones at a minimum, usually around 6. Naruto pitted his clones. Shiho had them reading the books she picked out to help him along in his knowledge as a shinobi. She was a nice enough girl, but reading was still ultra boring. Not even a new friend could make him think otherwise. She didn't even have him learning cool stuff like he wanted. After she realized how much basic knowledge he lacked, Shiho saw to it that she drilled something into his head to make sure that it stuck. And her sensei didn't have any problems with her doing that, especially since she had Naruto's clones helping out keeping the place organized. By the end of the week, one of the things drilled into his head was how to replace books and scrolls that other shinobi had checked out and returned. Naruto's clones went over basic tactics and combat strategies, yes, at least things that Shiho thought a genin needed to know anyway. In addition to that, she introduced him to the immediate geography of Hai no Kuni and its surrounding nations so that he didn't look a complete horse's ass when he went outside of the country on missions. While Naruto's clones suffered indoors, he took his business to the woods where he would go over his taijutsu. His choice of using Nibeiken, Sticky Fist, seemed like the most tailor-made for him at the moment, but he had to make sure his taijutsu was decent enough for it to even work. This led to him doing the thing from the other day, working with his clones to trap melee attacks like the Academy scroll instructed him. As he realized it wasn't in the other one due to it being an intermediate scroll, he would have skipped straight to learning the new style if he hadn't been training his moves in the exact place he had been trying to the other day, where he once again ran into Tenten, this time with some kid with long brown hair and white eyes. Naruto didn't like that guy straight from the first meeting, as he looked at him like he was stupid when he told Tenten what he had been doing when she found him again. Tenten quickly informed him that he should finish learning what the Academy scroll had to teach him before anything else. When he got all haughty and asked her how she knew, she just gave him a deadpan look and asked him if he wanted her to go get Rock Lee or someone worse. Naruto politely declined that offer and took her word for it for 2 reasons. She already proved she could beat him, so what could it hurt to actually listen to someone that proved they were stronger than him? And he didn't even feel like seeing Lee so soon after getting dropkicked in the face. He sure as hell didn't want to see someone that Tenten labeled as worse. She had a point as well that she had the benevolence to explain to put it in perspective for him. Naruto could start from the Nibeiken scroll and master every little thing on it. It wouldn't do him any good knowing all of the slick techniques available after latching onto an opponent if he couldn't even get a hold of them in the first place. After an interrupting grunt from the guy that Naruto assumed was her teammate as well as Lee, Tenten ran off, leaving Naruto to his own devices once more. The problem was that Naruto's taijutsu wasn't necessarily bad per se. The issue was that when the spars in class started a few years back, Naruto kind of dominated. It was the only thing he was really good at when they began. He never really had to study for the entire year because he was always able to outlast his opponents and wear them down for a win. Everyone else kept getting better and learning technique, while Naruto coasted on his laurels for as long as he possibly could in the category, since he hit just as hard, if not harder than anyone else, and could take 10 times the damage others could before calling it quits. And he wound up coasting all the way to graduation in this case, as it was his one saving grace on his grades. He wasn't really bad in practice, when you factor in how much punishment he could take before dropping, but take that away and he would have failed that too. Good thing he was so damn stubborn, huh? Nevertheless, he was still taking punch after punch from his own Kage Bunshin. He was simply having trouble getting the timing aspect of catching an attack down. The clone doing the punching was absolutely loving his job for the day as well. Naruto had been at this for 4 days at this point, between the reading and messing around with his echolocation jutsu, and while there had been improvement, today you'd have thought it was his first day. Grinning wildly as his fist connected with his creator's face once more, he let the original get settled again before gleefully throwing another punch. However, this one was caught at the wrist before a return fist dispelled the clone. Naruto panted as his Kage Bunshin disappeared in a puff of smoke. He rubbed his sore, bruised face finally. He laughed to himself. I got one, I finally got one. He winced at a particular stinging part of his face. It took long enough, damn it, he didn't know why it was so hard. But the reason was that his clones knew how he would try to trap a limb. They altered their punch and kick style to keep him from ever getting a hold of them. So it wasn't really that he was doing it wrong, he was simply not adept enough at it to take on an opponent that knew what he was going to do. Man, I have to get that ID picture taken today. Naruto picked himself back up off of the ground. I hope these marks go away before I get there. Naruto decided that the best way to train was to work his taijutsu, which would work his Kage-Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu, at the same time, and he would also release random bursts of Chakura Hankiri no Jutsu, Chakra Echolocation Jutsu, as a short break. Iruka said it placed a decent drain on him to use it, but so far Naruto wasn't feeling it. Naruto placed his hands in the ram seal to begin charging the pulse, Chakura Hankiri no Jutsu, Chakra Echolocation Jutsu. Naruto let loose the jutsu only to hear a sharp cry of pain from a decent distance away. What? Naruto looked around himself before taking off in the only direction that he felt anything big enough to be a person. Who's there? I know you're over here. He arrived at the place where he felt the presence, and saw no one. Someone's messing with me. Naruto fired up another sonar pulse and felt the person quickly leaving the area. He felt like chasing after them, but he had things to do, and if they hadn't attacked him when he revealed that he knew where they were, they must not have been dangerous, right? Besides that, once they reached a populated area, he wouldn't have been able to pursue any further. He had trouble pinpointing exact people in decent crowds. With that thought in mind, Naruto headed off towards the Hokage Tower to get his ninja ID picture taken. XXX. Hinata finally stopped running once she finally reached the village itself. She had found Naruto and decided to follow him to see what he had been doing. Seeing him fail obviously hurt him, and she wanted to know if he was okay. Her surprise was imminent when she saw him make a physically solid clone that could actually fight, and she almost yelled out for him to stop once she saw it start beating on him. Only after a few tries, when she saw him actively trying to counter by catching its punches and kicks, did she realize it was training. Did she relax and simply watch with her Byakugan active so that she didn't have to move. She watched right up until the point where he let off that weird pulse of chakra. A spherical wave of chakra expanded outward from Naruto's body, and she sure as hell wasn't ready for something like that from him. From her point of view, when it hit her eyes, it felt like the strongest camera flash she had ever felt in her life, and she had to cry out in unexpected pain at the sensation, which tipped Naruto off to her presence. From there she simply ran away as fast as she could lest he find her, and actually asked her embarrassing questions on what exactly she had been doing there. She nervously activated her Byakugan again to ensure that Naruto wasn't near her again, and once satisfied with that, went on her own way, still somewhat shaken by her close call of being discovered by her object of admiration. XXX. Naruto cursed his revamped schedule as he walked away from the Hokage's office. He intended to do something awesome for his ID photo, but with all of the stuff he had been doing, he simply didn't have the time to set it up in time for his appointment. It was nice to see the old man smile at him and compliment him, thinking he was starting to take things seriously, but he would have rather had the fallout that would have occurred if he had done something outrageous instead. Oh well, there was always another day. As Naruto walked through the hall to exit the tower, a small boy ran into his knees. Naruto looked down and frowned. Hey kid, watch where you're going. And what are you doing running around with that shuriken in your hand? The boy was wearing a yellow shirt with the Konoha symbol on it, gray shorts, a long blue scarf, and a gray helmet with a hole out the top for a tuft of hair to stick out of. He looked up at Naruto with a glare. You tripped me. Naruto got an angry look on his face. You tripped over your own feet and ran into me clumsy. Don't blame me for your lack of balance. With that, Naruto walked past him and down the stairs to leave the building. As he kept walking, the boy ran out and stopped at the top of the stairs. Don't you know who I am? I'm the Hokage's grandson. Apologize to me. Naruto scoffed, and didn't even turn his head. The Hokage himself only gets me to do stuff because I actually respect him, because he earned it. If you want me to apologize to a brat like you, you'd be better off trying to make me yourself with action, because being his grandson doesn't mean anything in reality. After saying that, Naruto hid his hands from clear view as he let out a pulse of his jutsu, allowing him to feel the shuriken that the boy threw. Naruto simply stepped to the side and let it fly past him. You'd better watch out with that thing, you might hurt somebody. The boy simply stared at him in awe until he disappeared from sight at the bottom of the stairs. A man with a dark long-sleeved shirt and dark pants, wearing his headband to cover his entire head like a bandana, came up behind the boy, adjusting the sunglasses on his face. Honorable grandson, there you are. You shouldn't run away like that, not while in the midst of my lecture. You do want to be a powerful shinobi one day, don't you? He then noticed that the boy wasn't paying attention to him and was looking down the stairs. What do you see? The boy just kept on staring. Who was that guy? He asked more to himself than to anyone else. Naruto stood right behind a corner at the bottom of the stairs with a wide grin on his face. I love that jutsu so much. Oh man, that probably looked so badass. I wish I had made a Kage-Bunshin to let me know what it looked like. Naruto shut his eyes and walked away grinning until he himself bumped into a solid figure. When he opened his eyes and looked up, a plume of smoke greeted his face, forcing him to cough and hack somewhat. Naruto cleared the tears gathering in his eyes from the smoke and saw a man with brown eyes, short spiky black hair, a beard, and his headband around his head with a cigarette in his mouth. He wore the stuff he saw a lot of Konoha ninja wearing, the black long-sleeved shirt, the black pants, and that vest with the pouches on the chest. He also had a strange sash with the kanji for fire on it. Sorry there kid. Naruto stopped rubbing his eyes. Why are you apologizing to me? He really wasn't used to this. People didn't apologize to him. As a matter of fact, most adults glared at him if they even bothered acknowledging he was even there at all after something like this. Not this guy though. I was the one that ran into you. The man had a calm smile on his face as he answered, well, sometimes you've got to remember that kids younger than you are prone to accidents and the like, just like ignorant people are going to do ignorant things. There's no need to try and look cool all of the time, you see. Cool just happens, you can't manipulate it. Naruto blanched, thinking the man might have taken offense to what had just happened between him and that kid. So, you saw what just happened? The man nodded. Naruto's train of thought then shifted. Hey, what are you talking about? That was cool. The man shook his head and took another drag of his cigarette. Nah, like I said, cool just happens. You just graduate the academy? Naruto blinked before grinning at the man. Whoever this was certainly was getting on Naruto's good list. He hadn't been condescending or an outright asshole to him once yet. Yeah? I actually have to show up for orientation tomorrow. Why? The man took on a thoughtful look. So what have you been doing for the week? Naruto was about to open his mouth and go into full, colorful detail about just what he had been doing, from learning both of his new jutsu, to the people he met, to the fight against Tenten, that he was going to edit down substantially to fit his own ego, of course, when a lesson learned hit him from Shiho's brutal method of force-feeding his Kage Bunshin information. Information is one of the most useful tools at a shinobi's disposal. Even simple information such as a person's day-to-day life or events that have transpired in the past, ranging back decades in some cases, can be a powerful weapon to be used one way or another, either as a point of leverage or a talking point in somewhat hostile negotiations. Naruto shut his mouth and rubbed the back of his head. Just stuff, heh. Trying to keep busy. He so wanted to tell this guy about his Kage Bunshin, or about Iruka's echolocation jutsu that he used so much, or anything. But the sooner he could put some lessons to practice, the better things would be in the long run, or so Shiho had said when his clones griped. The man chuckled and walked on past Naruto, heading up the stairs and leaving him alone. Naruto looked at where the man had been for a moment before moving along his own way. The bearded man walked through the halls until he finally reached the office of the Hokage. He knocked on the door and opened it up to walk on in. Hiruzen looked up and smiled. Ah, Asuma. What can I do for you today? Asuma stood in front of his desk and spoke with the cigarette in his mouth. Hey Dad, you know how you send out requests for teams? Hiruzen nodded. Well, I've got one request that should be easy enough. I'm sure there won't really be anyone else jumping at the chance to take him. Hiruzen's eyebrow rose in curiosity upon hearing Asuma begin to make a request. He never requested anything. XXX. Naruto just couldn't shake the feeling of someone following him as he walked the streets of the village, sending out regular pulses of Iruka's jutsu, that he was starting to like just as much as turning his head to look for things with his eyes. It took basically the same amount of effort. He noticed that there was something following him, but he just didn't feel like turning around to see what it was. It hadn't tried anything yet, and he was hungry. Whatever it was could wait until he got to Ichiraka ramen. If you're still following me when I get to the ramen stand, I'm going to have to mess you up. Naruto shouted to whoever was following him. After walking a few blocks and another check to see if he was still being followed, he shook his head. Just as he entered the stand underneath the curtain, he formed a Kage Bunshin that made itself scarce before anyone that cared could take notice. Taking his seat at the counter, Naruto immediately called out his order. Oetuchiaji, 1 large serving of miso ramen with roasted pork fillet, and keep on coming. The middle-aged man running the stand gave Naruto a half salute and got to work on his order. You've got it, Naruto. Coming right up. I leaned on the counter while Naruto waited on his food. So Naruto-kun, tomorrow, right? That's the day you become a ninja. Naruto laughed to himself. Yep, I can't wait. I'm so excited, I don't know how I'm going to sleep tonight. I'm going to kick so much ass tomorrow, it's going to be great. His attention was directed downward as a large, steaming bowl of ramen with the works was placed in front of him. Naruto grabbed a pair of chopsticks and broke them apart. Itadakimasu. The blonde stopped the chopsticks full of noodles just short of his mouth as the memories of his Kage Bunshin and his little stalker came into mind. XXX. With Naruto's Kage Bunshin. Across the street from the stand, the Kage Bunshin stood with a sweat drop on its head as it stared at a square rock, looking intently at the real him eating at the stand. Naruto kicked at the rock twice and deepened his sweat drop when it scuttled away from him a few feet before continuing to watch the real him. Rocks aren't square, Naruto said absently. Upon hearing his voice, the rock abruptly turned around before being thrown off to reveal the little kid he had met at the Hokage Tower earlier. Why have you been following me for so long? Can't you see it's chow time? The kid pointed at the clone with a shaky, accusing finger. How can you be over here? You're supposed to be over there. I heard you yell from over there. You're not real, Al. The clone rapped the boy on the head. Well, you said ouch, so I must be real enough, right? He stared at Naruto in awe. How did you do that? Naruto grinned widely at him. I'm a ninja kid. Pretty cool, huh? The boy then got a determined look in his eyes. Alright then, I've decided. You're going to train me now, boss. The clone almost face faulted itself into oblivion. What? Who decided? Why would I want to train you? And what's with the boss stuff? I'm calling you boss because you're going to be training me, and I've decided on you because, well, you're awesome, boss. And this thing with the making two of you as well as being able to discover my location just proves it. Kore. The clone blushed under the praise before sighing once he thought of the kid being impressed at noticing a square rock was out of place in the middle of a street. Yeah, whatever, kid, I don't even know your name, so it's going to be kind of hard for whatever training you think I can give you. Besides, don't you have a teacher already? Konohamaru. The boy mumbled, facing the ground. My name is Konohamaru. His head snapped up abruptly. But no one ever calls me that. It's always honorable grandson, even though my name should be easy to remember. No one ever sees me for me, they only just see me for the things that my grandfather did. I want people to acknowledge me. Naruto frowned as he heard the boy explain himself to him. It was kind of like him. People seemed to prefer to pretend that he simply didn't exist, and he had no clue why. At least Konohamaru had the luxury of already knowing what it was they saw when they treated him that way, and it wasn't so negative. Still, the kid strangely reminded him on himself, especially at that age. He wished he had the balls to go up to someone and ask them to train him though. Alright, clone, Naruto sighed, but there's not really anything I can teach you. He scratched his head. Well, there's one thing. It could work for you and it seems to be effective on most of the people I use it on. The clone thought to himself, boss doesn't need to actually go do this himself, does he? Well? Konohamaru asked excitedly once he realized that Naruto was going to teach him something. Naruto patted the boy on the head. Alright. The jutsu I'm going to teach you requires you to do quite a bit of studying. Come on, let's get started. XXX, with Naruto. That didn't really work out so well for Naruto's Kagebunshin. Naruto sighed and made a bunch of Kagebunshin. Go with the kid and stay hidden except for one in case you get dispelled again. This might be a really long day. The clone saluted him and took off towards Konohamaru's last location to make sure the kid wasn't freaking out at watching his instructor for the day burst into smoke. Naruto took in a sigh of relief and inhaled the aroma of the new bowl that I had just set in front of him. There's no way I was going to be stuck doing that all day. Stuck doing what, Naruto-kun? I asked curiously. He seemed really comforted about something. Naruto laughed and gave her a megawatt smile. Nothing, Michin, I'm just talking to myself. XXX. The next day, Naruto arrived to the academy super early that morning and sat down before sighing to himself and pulling out a bunch of small sticky notes that Shiho made his Kagebunshin write down and carry home before they dispelled. Yesterday had been very troublesome for the existence of realistic replications if the way his Kagebunshin had to deal with the stuff happening around them was any indication. Konohamaru's attempts to go through with research for the jutsu Naruto planned on teaching him ended up in pain and anguish for Naruto's clones, even though it was always Konohamaru that got them in trouble. Maybe teaching a kid the Oroku no Jutsu wasn't the best idea in the first place? Anyway, Konohamaru eventually got it just in time for his instructor Ebisu to show up and take him away. Flashback. Honorable grandson, it's time for you to stop associating with this rabble and come with me, Ebisu said, tilting his glasses up as he looked down on Naruto coldly from a tree limb. Naruto returned his look with a glare of his own. Guys like this are always looking at me like they have a problem. What is their deal? I don't even know who this guy is and he looks like he's trying to set me on fire with his eyes. No! Konohamaru shouted. I want to go with Naruto. I actually learned something today. Check it out, Oroku no Jutsu, sexy jutsu. In a puff of smoke, Konohamaru turned into a beautiful naked brunette woman that winked at Ebisu. Hey there, how do you like my jutsu? Naruto smirked to himself, he had actually gotten it down after just a few hours of practice. Ebisu on the other hand was mortified. Honorable grandson, what kind of deplorable acts have you been coerced into by this ruffian? This jutsu is far below someone of your stature. The only guaranteed way to achieve a shortcut to Hokage is through my teachings. I'll show you the way, Naruto growled. Can you forget the damn way that he looked for a second and think about what the kid just did? Ebisu stopped pulling on Konohamaru and looked at Naruto, who he had expected to say something at any minute, just not something like that. He expected a challenge to fight or something. But hearing this boy perceived as a dead last have anything to say to him irked his ire. Oh, and what would that be? Besides making himself a public nuisance and besmirching his name in your tasteless influence. Naruto's eye twitched. He so wanted to fight this guy and show him what was what, but he promised too many people he'd stop acting like a bother and getting into a fight with another person so soon after being scolded for it wouldn't bode too well for him. Naruto grit his teeth and continued to speak. He did a transformation, you idiot. Was all he really had the self-control to get out. Ebisu looked at Naruto expectantly, as if to say, that's all you had to say. It took a few seconds, but the facts of what he had just uttered had finally dawned on Ebisu as his eyes slowly panned down to Konohamaru still trying to break his grip. After realizing that Konohamaru had indeed used a jutsu that he hadn't even come close to teaching him yet, he let go of the young boy in shock. Honorable grandson, this is incredible. To learn such a jutsu in one day. Naruto wanted to yell at this guy so much for changing his tune so abruptly. Of course it only took a day. Konohamaru bellowed before running back over to Naruto. Boss taught it to me. Naruto patted Konohamaru on the head. Yeah, but now you can use it to turn into other stuff. All you need are the hand seals now since you already get the idea of turning into a different form. He pointed to Ebisu. That guy can do that for you later. Konohamaru frowned as he looked over at Ebisu. But boss, he doesn't teach me any cool jutsus like you do. How am I supposed to get to be Hokage fast if I don't learn any jutsu? You idiot. Naruto said, there isn't a shortcut. Nothing you do will make the way to Hokage any shorter or any easier. If you really want to be Hokage one day, you're going to have to prove that you're better than me. Konohamaru gulped at that. You need a lot of guts, and you're going to fall down a lot, but if you work your hardest one day you can be Hokage after me, of course. Konohamaru stared at Naruto as he started walking away from both him and Ebisu. Fine, you're not my teacher anymore. From now on we're rivals. Naruto chuckled and waved absently over his shoulder. Yeah, fine. I couldn't keep teaching you stuff anyway. I have to start my ninja career tomorrow. End flashback. And then there were the clones that had been combing through the library for anything with a jutsu in it. The old man couldn't have been lying when he said that there were a few in there somewhere. He wouldn't have done that, but he would be damned if he had found any yet, because he sure hadn't. And whenever the clones came across anything that Shiho thought he would need, she pulled that particular clone away from searching and proceeded to make it read whatever it was. She kept on claiming seniority over him to get the clones to read what she told them to, and accentuated the fact that he would have to learn how to take orders he didn't like, so he might as well get used to it. Per clone's better than him though. Hey. Naruto looked up to see a boy with black hair and a ponytail giving him a pineapple look looking at him lazily. What are you doing here, Naruto? This is for students that graduated. Naruto flicked the metal on his headband around his forehead. He still wore the goggles as well, just around his neck. He might need them at some point, so why not? You see the headband, Shikamaru? That means I'm a ninja just like you. Ugh, troublesome. Shikamaru rubbed his neck before going off to find his own seat, leaving Naruto back to his own devices. Hinata's breath itched in her throat when she saw Naruto sitting in class. Naruto-kun passed after all. I'm so glad. However, she still really hoped that he hadn't caught on to her tailing him the other day. Ha! Take that, Ino pig, I got here first. Naruto turned his attention to the top of the stairs where he saw an out-of-breath Sakura and Ino. Sakura looked down to his level and put on a sweet face. No way. Is she looking at me like that? When Sakura began moving his way, he took a chance that he probably knew the results of beforehand, standing up to greet her. Hi there, Sakura-chan. Get out of the way, Naruto. Sakura bowled him over and moved directly to the seat beside him. Good morning, Sasuke-kun. She pleasantly greeted the boy in question seated directly to her left. Naruto picked himself up off of the ground as a bunch of the girls in class began fighting over who was going to take that seat. What the hell was that for? Shiho says being nice to girls will get them to like you, and she hasn't hit me once all week. Sigh, I just don't get girls. Naruto leered over at the object of all of the commotion, one Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto smirked to himself. It was only a matter of time at this point until he could go and prove that he was better than Sasuke was. Let Mr. Popularity there enjoy his last day as top dog. Once things got going, Naruto would be the one seen as the best. With that in mind, Naruto took his seat and went back over the notes that he had placed in front of him on the desk with much trouble to his attention span due to the harping on by all of the girls around Sasuke. Seriously, how could that bastard keep a stone face in the middle of that? He had to have nerves like a river stone to not let it show that it was bothering him one way or another. What are you doing, Naruto? He looked up to see a boy in a hooded parka with fur lining the edges. He had red marks on his cheeks, rather feral features, and a little white puppy on top of his head. Why are you studying? That's kind of the opposite of what you should be doing here. School's over now. Naruto chuckled nervously. Well, a friend of mine just wanted me to go over some stuff that was supposed to help me out. Nothing big. How was he supposed to say he had clones running about the library every day this week going over things? That would have probably made him a laughingstock. Kiba grinned, showing off sharp canines. Well, you can study all you want to. It doesn't matter. Me and Akamaru are going to blow right past you, whatever it is they have us doing now. Right, boy? A yap of affirmation from the puppy on his head sounded out. Naruto stood up out of his seat and held up a fist. Yeah, right. I'm going to get out of here and hit the top in record time. Then you can all tell your children one day how you were in class with the new Hokage. Hehe. They don't let class dogs be Hokage. One random boy shouted out, engulfing the whole room in laughter. Shut up. Naruto barked back. I could probably beat anyone in this room right now. Could he? Yeah, he could. He knew none of these guys were as good as Tenten was. He had been training all week and he was sure no one else had done anything. And he was Uzumaki Naruto. He was that awesome. Of course he could. None of that stuff is going to matter once we get out of here and the missions start. We're all genin now. Well said, Naruto. Iruka said as he entered the room with a clipboard. You're all as of this day forward official shinobi of Konohamaru no Sato. You are all expected to carry out your missions to the best of your ability for your home and for your comrades. I just want to say that I am proud of you all and that I wish you all luck in your future as ninja and kunoichi of our village. He gave his short speech a moment to sink in before clearing his throat. Now I'm going to begin the announcement of the squads formed for the duration of your tenure as genin. This got everyone in attendance's collective attention. XXX. All of the would-be Jounin sensei were in the office of the Hokage looking through his crystal ball at all of the rookies. Hiruzen looked at Asuma, who had foregone the cigarettes due to the room being so crowded. Is there any particular reason you asked for the addendum to your team, Asuma? Asuma smirked when all eyes fell on him. Trying to put me on the spot, huh, Dad? Alright, I'll explain it afterwards. XXX. Iruka continued listing off names on his clipboard. Team 7 will be Akimichi Tsuji, Harino Sakura, and Uchiha Sasuke. Your instructor will be Hatake Kakashi. Shinaro. Sakura exclaimed after hearing her team, take that Ino pig. True love conquers all. Ino placed her cheek in her hand in a dejected fashion, while Sakura continued to celebrate. Sakura turned to Sasuke with hearts in her eyes. Now we'll be on the same team, Sasuke-kun. Isn't that great? Was the stoic Genin's response. Naruto had to bite back a snort of laughter at that. It was clear that Sasuke cared so much about his predicament. Team 8 will be Hyuga Hinata, Inuzuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino with Yuhi Kurenai as your Jounin sensei, Iruka said as the three young ninja mentioned all acknowledged that he had been heard. Team 9 is still in circulation, so we'll move on to Team 10. Team 10 will be Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, and Uzumaki Naruto with Sarutobi Asuma. Ah. Ino said as her head slumped onto the desk. I've got a lazy bum and the dead last on my team, why me? Naruto rolled his eyes at Ino's words and kept his eyes on Shiho's notes. Why did she give me these? The only thing that's been useful so far was the one that told me we were going to be broken up into squads like all genin were. Other than that, these have been a waste of time. And that's all for now. Iruka concluded, you will all be picked up by your respective Jounin sensei after lunch. Until then, get together with your team, get to know them, and one more time, good luck to all of you. Iruka spared the class one last glance before leaving the students on their own. Naruto picked up his notes and stuck them inside of his jacket just as Ino came down from her seat behind him with her hands on her hips. Alright, you and Shikamaru are coming with me. Troublesome. Shikamaru said before pointing his thumb in a direction. What about Chuji? What about him? Ino asked, still sounding short-tempered about how the teams panned out. Shikamaru and Naruto both pointed towards the door where Sasuke walked out, being audibly trailed by Sakura trying to curry his favor as they were now a team. Do you really think he's going to be welcome eating lunch with them? The lazy boy said before motioning Chuji down closer towards where they were. Naruto spoke up. Yeah, it's alright with me. Chuji can come on over, no problem. The plump boy in question took a seat next to Shikamaru before breaking out a bag of chips that he began to snack on. Naruto looked at a slightly fuming Ino, and Shikamaru, who had both of his eyes closed as he leaned back in his chair. So I guess we're teammates now, huh? He said with a slight laugh, losing it when Ino glared at him. XXX. Alright, it's pretty simple why I chose Naruto to round out the team instead of going with Chuji in the end. Asuma said, while he's not really smart, I think that Shikamaru is hiding a major brain somewhere, so he'll be the intelligence. Ino is bossy enough to keep both of them in line, and Naruto is going to show more than enough effort during actual training to inspire the other two to improve. Besides, with a Nara to hold opponents in place, I'm sure that the kid is going to have some knockout power to him sooner rather than later. Hiruzen sighed. You know Kakashi wanted him for his own squad, right? Asuma smirked and placed a cigarette in his mouth. And where is he again? All of the other Jounin in the room snickered quietly when it was clear that he wasn't there at the time. Oi Kurenai, the bearded man said when his cigarette was snatched from his mouth by a stunning raven-haired woman with striking red eyes. Kurenai tossed the cigarette aside, but to take him onto your team. Aren't you a bit concerned about the you-know-what? Asuma shrugged. Why should I be? Has anyone ever even heard of any episodes taking place with the kid? Ever? At this point he might as well not even have it for all of the influence it has over him. He's going to work out just fine on my team, I know he will. Nodding at the points his son made, Hiruzen then gave a knowing smirk. I believe Naruto-kun is going to have a few surprises for you already in regards to his performance on your team. It's been a week. A random shinobi said he was the dead last of this year's graduates. How much could things have changed in a week? A week? Hiruzen thought. Try 24 hours. He looked at the man that had spoken with an even gaze. A week is far more than an ample amount of time for any competent shinobi to improve if driven. And I can assure you that Naruto-kun has an incredible drive, and that's why I wanted him. Asuma said before placing another cigarette in his mouth, making sure to keep it away from Kurenai. I mean, someone has to be the enthusiasm on my squad. I have a slacker, a loudmouth, and a knucklehead. It actually sounds like fun to me. He sparked up his lighter, placing it under the cigarette to start smoking. XXX. Ino had pretty much demanded that they all leave the classroom for lunch. Shikamaru thought it better to go along with it that argue about something he didn't care about. Chuji went along with him on that, and Naruto just didn't care at the moment. He was too excited thinking about the things they were going to do after their Jounin showed up after lunch. They all ended up sitting outside on an awning next to the main academy building. Ino was eating her lunch quietly as she looked over her teammates. She wasn't terribly unfamiliar with Shikamaru, seeing as how both of their fathers were teammates and good friends. His grades and overall performance in the academy were abysmal, to say the least. He was always asleep in class, even after Iruka woke him up multiple times a day. Lazy bum. And then there was Naruto. He wasn't a lazy ass like Shikamaru was, but his grades in the academy were even worse than his were. He consistently failed even when he would show up, and he spent almost as much time sleeping as Shikamaru. He was the slowest to get all of the jutsu taught in class down, and he couldn't even do Bunshin no Jutsu, clone jutsu, by the time of the graduation exam. How the hell did he pass anyway? She was cursing out Kami in her head for giving her such a bottom-of-the-barrel team to work with. This was going to be terrible. Naruto wasn't even eating, he didn't have lunch with him anyway. he was simply grinning madly about finally being a ninja. He had his own team and a cool high-class jounin to teach him how to kick even more ass. Maybe he even had techniques that were as cool as the one Iruka taught him. He didn't mind his team too much. Shikamaru was an alright guy, and Ino was bossy, but it wasn't anything he couldn't deal with, he was certain. Shikamaru wasn't really thinking about either of his teammates at all. He knew enough about Ino to know that she was going to be troublesome, but he knew how to handle her. Naruto, on the other hand, was just going to flat out be troublesome. Nothing he did or could think of would change or lessen that, so there was no need to waste the effort trying to deal with it. He was more concerned with Chuji on Team 7. He hoped his old buddy would be alright on that team, but then again Chuji was strong. He knew he would be fine. Alright. Ino stood up. I need our team to blow everyone else's out of the water, especially Forehead Girl's team. Naruto nodded fervently in agreement. Yeah, I need to wipe that superior look off of Sasuke team's face anyway. Don't worry, I'm right there with you, Ino. Ino glared at him, confusing him. Why was she upset? All he did was agree with her. Baka, you can't beat Sasuke-kun. He's the best genin in the entire village. She really hadn't been exposed to very many real ninja, had she? Well, he hadn't either until just this week. Naruto snorted. My ass, he is. I've met some of the other genin in this village. If Sasuke team can beat those guys here, and now I'll eat my goggles. Ino fumed at Naruto's claims of Sasuke's false superiority while Shikamaru sighed. Ino, isn't that counterintuitive to what you just said? You just said to beat Team 7. Well, Sasuke is on Team 7, so you're getting mad at Naruto for agreeing with you. But then again, I don't know why I care. This whole thing is troublesome. He looked over at Chuji. You might have been better off seeing if your team would actually eat with you. It would have to be less trouble than this. It's alright, Shikamaru. I don't mind. The agreeable, portly boy said as he popped open a fresh bag of chips before noticing that Naruto hadn't eaten a single thing since they got there. Chip? He offered to the blonde boy. Naruto noticed he was talking to him and smiled at him. Thanks a lot, Chuji. Naruto reached in and grabbed a few before Chuji gave some to Shikamaru as well. All three boys were seated and munching on chips while Ino was crying over her rotten luck. Naruto grinned at her. It'll be fine, Ino. Stop worrying about it. I'm sure Shikamaru isn't as lazy as he seems when something important actually happens. The girl had to admit he was right. He did graduate just like everyone else did after all. And what about you? Ino replied, running a hand through her light blonde locks. He might be able to get himself up for when big stuff happens. But what about you? You can't really turn stupid off like that. She knew Naruto failed on the other hand. Everyone did. It was so evident on his face when he came out of the academy that day. Why was he here? No one told her that. Naruto gave her a deadpan look. Yes, you can. Ino raised an eyebrow at him. No, you can't. You just can't fix stupid Naruto. Yeah, you really can, trust me. Naruto insisted. Damn, he knew he was bad in the academy. Was it really that bad? Ino didn't even believe in him enough to think he was useful in a real situation. As far as she was concerned, Shikamaru was more useful in a high-stress situation. That was a heartbreaker. It's called a library, Ino. That place was pretty much invented so that stupid people could fix being stupid. Ino almost dropped her jaw at hearing that. Shikamaru actually opened his eyes to stare at Naruto in surprise, and Chuji actually stopped eating to gape at him. You go to the library? All three of them said at the same time. I sure do. Naruto said rather proudly. If it was able to get that kind of a reaction out of them, then he must have been doing something right. Every day since graduation. He neglected to mention that he was more or less tricked into going once by the Hokage and then basically guilt-tripped into returning by Shiho. Still, after you get used to it, the library isn't really a bad place at all. Kind of boring though, but Shiho's company made even that manageable. No way. Ino said in disbelief. The dead last that never even cracked a book to study for all of these years went to the library all this week in his own free time. I was barely under the impression that you could even read. Naruto frowned. That's mean, Ino. He was starting to get tired of all of the cracks at his intelligence. No, he wasn't smart, but there had to be someone out there stupider than he was. It was a basic law of the world. Somewhere out there someone had to exist dumber than him. Ino stopped trying to antagonize Naruto. Shikamaru cut in, getting tired of hearing Naruto be grilled over this. If he did, he did. It couldn't be a bad thing that he went all week. You should actually be happy about it. Ino blinked at Shikamaru before turning back to her fellow blonde. Well, it's not like I'm mad at him for doing it. But why? Didn't you have anything better to do for the rest of the week, like hang out with someone? Come to think of it, she never really saw Naruto anywhere with anyone. Shikamaru was at least usually with Chuji. Naruto shook his head. Other than play pranks, I really didn't. All I had to do was train and go to the library because I promised not to pull any more pranks, unless someone gave him a seriously good reason to do so. Luckily for everyone, no one gave him a reason to do so yet. But he was feeling the pent-up need to vent in a pranking fashion on someone, and Kami helped the poor bastard he decided to unleash it on. Training too? Ino said. Naruto trained? Since when did Naruto actively train without being directed to by someone? He barely did it when Iruka had everyone doing things in class. Yep. Naruto grinned reassuringly at her before sticking out his fist. So like I said, everything's going to be just fine. We got through the academy in one piece, We can handle anything that gets thrown at us, right? Shikamaru looked up at Naruto before smiling to himself. It's going to be totally troublesome already, I can just feel it. But you've got it, Naruto. We can handle whatever. Naruto looked over to Ino with his vibrant blue eyes that exuded confidence before she smirked and flipped her ponytail back. Well, I suppose I have to agree, right? I mean, who else is going to dig you two idiots out of the fire when everything goes wrong? I have to be there to save both of you. I'm sure that will get Sasuke-kun to see how much better than forehead I am. Naruto laughed and threw his hands behind his head. Alright then. So we're a team, right? Team 10? Team 10. Shikamaru agreed. Ino sighed. I'd still much rather be on Sasuke-kun's team, though. She then perked up and winked. But yeah, Team 10. Chapter 4. How to Train Your Genin. Lunch ended and the newly graduated genin all filed back inside of the classroom to find that there was a group of adults already there waiting on them. Team 10 decided that now was as good a time as any to start working like a team and sat in the same row next to each other while most of the others were still spread out around the classroom. After everyone re-entered, Iruka took the front of the class again. Alright everyone. Iruka started. The men and women standing before you are your Jounin sensei for your duration as genin. Remember to work hard and remember everything you've learned through your time here in the academy. With that, the Jounin started going down the line, taking their teams away by the number indicated. Team 8? A beautiful raven-haired woman with remarkable red eyes said. She had on a mesh blouse with one long sleeve and a missing other underneath a broad, bandage-looking material that had a pattern of thorns on it. She had bandages wrapped around her upper thighs and her hands up to her elbows. I'm your Jounin instructor, Yuhi Kurinai. Come with me and we'll get started. Kiba, Hinata, and Shino all stood up and walked out of the room with the woman when Sakura stood up. You skipped Team 7. What about our sensei? All of the remaining Jounin shook their heads with amusement etched on their faces as the next man stepped forward. You guys are going to be waiting a while for him to show up. Anyway, Team 10? I'm Sarutobi Asuma and I'm your sensei, so follow me. Naruto, Ino, and Shikamaru stood up and followed him out, with Shikamaru giving a small wave to Chuji before they left for luck to him, and how he would fare on his own team. Shikamaru was still worried about leaving his oldest friend like that all on his own, but he had to worry about himself at the moment, and how he was going to do on his own team. Naruto looked at the bearded man they were following oddly, as if he were supposed to be familiar or something. Hey, have we met before? Naruto asked with his eyes closed in confusion. The man chuckled at the diminutive blonde. Hey, what's funny? You must not have a very good short-term memory, a kid? The man said as they started walking outside. When he saw Naruto's face scrunch up in thought, we met yesterday, kid. You were outside of the Hokage Tower and ran into me after messing with my nephew. Huh? Naruto was still confused before he started piecing together what Asuma had just said along with his last name. Wait, you're Konohamaru's uncle? Then that means you're the Hokage's son, right? Asuma sighed. Well, that's not what we were really talking about, but yes, I am the Hokage's son. Wow. Naruto said with a grin on his face. So you must be like a younger, more awesome version of Hokage Gigi, right? Asuma broke into laughter at hearing that. If nothing else, Naruto was going to be entertaining to have around on his team. Well, I don't really know about that. I don't even fight anything like the old man, to be quite honest with you, but I do in my own humble opinion think I'm quite strong. Ino gave Naruto a chiding look. Naruto, why would you call Hokage-sama that? That's disrespectful to his status in the village. Naruto shrugged. It's just what I've always called him. Ever since I was a little kid I've been calling him Hokage Gigi whenever he came to see me, and he never corrected me on it, so I guess he liked it or something. Now Shikamaru and Ino had something else to think about. Why did the Hokage spend that much time with Naruto when he was little? Sure, he was an orphan and everything, but for Naruto to be comfortable about calling the man such a familiar name in passing, that's a whole different level of acquaintance. The newly minted Team 10 kept following their Jounin commander as he walked them about all the way to a training field where he instructed them to sit down in the grass under the shade of a tree while he leaned against the trunk. Shikamaru acquiesced far too easily for Ino's tastes when he plopped right down on his back and looked up at the sun, poking through the leaves vacantly. Naruto swiftly did as he was told as well, just staying seated normally on the ground. Ino did so reluctantly, and sat with her knees pulled to her chest as they all looked at their sensei reach into one of his flak jacket's pockets and pull out a cigarette. Ino watched him distastefully as he stuck the cigarette in his mouth. Those will kill you, you know. Asuma smirked and pulled out a lighter to spark his cigarette up. Girl, I think you'll find after you've been doing this for a while that compared to being a ninja, a little smoke can't even come close to being anywhere near as dangerous. He took a moment to enjoy his cigarette for a moment, taking in the expressions his genin all wore. Ino was calm, yet she had an air of annoyance about her. Apparently she wasn't as pleased with her team selection, or her sensei if the way she was lightly glaring at him and his cigarette was any indication, as she would have liked to be, but she was willing to deal. That was good. Shikamaru didn't seem to care either way. He was just waiting for whatever it was he was supposed to do apparently before he decided whether or not it was worth the trouble of actually doing it. This kid would need some serious motivation if he was to end up any good kind of ninja. He didn't appear to be as out of it as he looked while gazing up at the clouds. It was clear he was still paying attention. Naruto was barely able to hide his excitement. He was hardly able to sit still, and every few moments you could see a huge grin threatening to peek through his already happy expression. Well, there was clearly no lack of motivation in him, and he didn't seem to have any problems with the way the teams panned out. He was just happy as a clam to even be there at all. Alright. Asuma thought to himself, enough of the silent contemplation. Asuma tapped the ashes off of the end of his cigarette. From this day forward I'll be your Jounin sensei. You will train under me, take missions under me, and I will be responsible for all of your well-beings from this point forward. He saw their faces receive that information, and now for the fun part. He thought with a smirk, that is, after you pass your final test to become genin. Ino looked at him with a cocked brow. Wait, I thought we already did that. We just got through with graduation, didn't we? Asuma chuckled. Come on. Anyone can reel off a few memorized test answers and crank out the most basic level jutsu that pretty much any ninja can do, right? After he said that, a sweat drop formed on his head when Ino's eyes turned to Naruto and Shikamaru, who laughed nervously and muttered troublesome respectively. Right, never mind. Well, regardless, that was just to scout out prospective candidates that actually end up being ninja. The truth is that there's a 66% average failure rate for kids at your level. Naruto's eyes widened. That's why Shiho-chan almost ended up not being a real ninja after all. Why didn't she tell me? Both Shikamaru and Ino looked at him in surprise after his outburst. As a matter of fact, why didn't Tenten tell me? Gah, I'm pissed. Asuma nodded. You say almost, so I assumed she was one of the lucky ones that didn't end up having to be sent back somehow. She must have gotten someone to actively apprentice her. But most shinobi don't have the time for that, or they don't have anyone they're actually interested in enough to go through that pain in the ass process for, so the failed ones usually end up heading back to the academy or, in a lot of cases, washing out altogether. He let silence settle over the field before sighing, getting the full attention of the group of kids. You know, I talked about it with Hokage-sama beforehand, and I have to tell you all, just to be fair to you, I don't really want a team. He surprised them. I have the freedom to make the test to pass you as tough or as easy as I want it to be, and I'm going to come up with something you'll never be able to pass. A task a full-fledged jounin would have to take a second thought at accepting. He exuded the minutest trace of killing intent he could to enforce his threat, and seeing Ino's eyes quiver he had to hold himself back from breaking his straight face. That's not fair. Naruto said loudly from the ground, you can't do that to us just because you're a lazy ass. Hearing Naruto say something brought something out of Ino. Yeah, even Shikamaru wouldn't be lazy enough to do something like that. Tough. Asuma said, shutting them both down, I'm a jounin, an elite. I've earned my spot 10 times over, and I'd much rather not have to spend the next 5 years wiping noses and powdering bottoms. Even Shikamaru was fully attentive by this point. The normally lazy pineapple-haired boy sat up and stared Asuma down. So you're going to just drop us? You led us all the way out here just to tell us you're failing us like that? Just getting rid of all of us? No. Asuma said to him, I never said I was going to just get rid of you. I said I never wanted a team, not that I never wanted to train anyone. I'm willing to take only one of you as an apprentice. The others are out of luck. All three of them looked at each other before Ino spoke up. Which one of us? Asuma smirked. That's up to all of you. I don't know the first thing about either one of you, so how would I know? All I know is that I don't want any weak little tagalong. I want the best. Ino smirked back at him and flipped her ponytail back. Well, I can tell you that I am the best. My academy grades were twice as good as both of theirs were, probably combined. Yeah, Asuma said dryly, that doesn't really mean a damn thing to me. You could pass with flying colors and still be shit for a shinobi, just like you could have barely graduated by the skin of your teeth and wind up being the best there ever was. What happened there doesn't mean anything to me now. Ino shirked back at that. Naruto spoke next. So what happens now? Asuma started walking away. Meet me back here in 3 hours. In that time I'll come up with a way to determine which out of all of you is worth being a genin. With that he vanished from the training field in a whirlwind of leaves, leaving 3 bewildered youngsters on their own. XXX. Meanwhile, Konohagakure Ninja Academy. The only team still remaining in the room was the group of Team 7, who were getting increasingly agitated by the wait for their sensei. Sasuke and Sakura were absurdly bored and could have actually been doing stuff with their time, and Chuji was running out of food to munch on. This guy was taking so long. The door finally slid open. Sorry I'm late. A black cat crossed my path and I had to take the long way around to get here. A man with gravity-defying silver hair and regular jounin garb and a face mask with his headband covering one eye stuck his head in the door with an expression that appeared to be him smiling. He opened his one eye and looked at the three with a bored expression on his face. My first impression of this group. You all are not quite what I was expecting. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. With that he disappeared in a puff of smoke. The faces upon hearing his lame excuse twisted in confusion once they processed his later words. Sakura looked at both of her teammates. What did he mean we're not what he expected? Chuji simply shrugged before Sasuke stood up. Sasuke said before putting his hands in his pockets. Let's just go. Chuji nodded and put up his snacks before following Sasuke out while Sakura sat there, still puzzled at her new sensei's first words to the team. XXX. What the hell? Naruto wondered as he walked the streets by himself to wait out Asuma's time frame. Did this kind of thing happen to Shiho-chan? Did her jounin sensei not want to do this either, and just got rid of the whole team because they could? I can't let it end like this. I can't just go back to the academy because of this. Naruto clenched his fists so hard his knuckles turned white. Maybe he'll take me as his apprentice. Maybe if I show I'm more awesome than the others he'll take me as a student? He has to. It's my only chance. But how am I supposed to prove it? Naruto kept walking for a moment before he steeled his eyes and headed back towards the training field they had met with Asuma on. XXX. Naruto returned to the field to find Ino and Shikamaru already there, the former glaring at the latter as he sat against the tree with his eyes closed. Naruto, Shikamaru said before yawning, we've been waiting on you to show up. Naruto gulped before he began walking towards the tree. Yeah? I'm here. He looked from Shikamaru to Ino, who was splitting her time from glaring at Shikamaru to glaring at Naruto. I thought I'd get here early and get some time to think before everyone else showed up. I guess that plan was good enough for everybody to use too, huh? Shikamaru shrugged. Well, I never really left. I just waited until you guys all did, and then I came back. This is a good spot. Ino stomped back here a few minutes before you did actually. So how are we going to do this? Naruto asked more to himself than to anyone else as he made his way under the tree with the others. But Ino heard and picked up on it. There's no way I'm going back to the academy now. Not after all I've done to get out of there. If this is how it's got to be, then I'm not just letting this pass me by, Ino said, voice full of determination. So if I have to prove it, I will. No, you're not. Shikamaru said, his voice having lost the disinterested tone from before to take on a more hardened one that showed he was actually serious. Neither of you are actually, he said, directing his gaze to Naruto to make sure he got the message. Ino smirked. So what are you going to do? Beat us both and take it for yourself, Shikamaru? That seems like too much work for someone like you. Naruto tensed up his muscles and spoke animatedly. I'm not going to fail, I can't. Not now, not after all of this, Databeo. I won't go back. If I have to fight you guys I will. Shikamaru stood up from his spot on the tree. Well, you see, no one's going to be fighting anyone at all. He made a gesture of antlers on the top of his head and let a smile cross his face when he saw Naruto and Ino mimic his action. Kage main no jutsu, shadow possession jutsu, complete. Ino's eyes had panic in them. What is this, Shikamaru? She said frantically. Naruto struggled but couldn't move an inch. I can't move. Shikamaru put his hands down. This is my jutsu, now listen up. We're not going to be fighting. None of us are. Why would they give that guy a team if he could just fail us for something stupid like he didn't want a team? Just because he has tenure or something doesn't mean he can just ruin someone's career before they even start. But what if he can? Ino said, I can't fail. My entire family would be totally ashamed of me. Naruto's eyes widened. He never said he would flat out fail us though. He said he would give us an exam we couldn't pass. But he didn't say anything about failing anyone just like that. Exactly. Shikamaru said, smiling at Naruto for pulling that answer out. So, as troublesome as it is, all we have to do is pass his exam and that should be that. Ino wasn't convinced. But what if we can't? He said that a jounin would have trouble with what he was going to end up making us do. How can you be so sure we'll get through it? Shikamaru let go of his jutsu. Because there are 3 of us. A single jounin might have trouble with whatever he makes us do, but 3 of us can more than likely handle anything he'll make us do. He kept looking between them in case anyone planned on attacking anyway, but calmed down when no one did after a minute. Okay. Naruto finally said, we're Team 10 aren't we? Naruto said with a slight laugh, we're not supposed to be fighting anyway, and Shikamaru's right. We can take whatever that chain-smoking team has planned for us. Ino sighed in resignation. Alright, sure, we'll work together, but if we end up all being sent back to the academy for this, I'm going to spend the next year making your lives a living hell. Got that? Her tough facade dropped as she slinked down against the tree that Shikamaru had been sitting against for the longest time. So what are we going to do? Shikamaru kneeled down in the shade of the tree in a weird position with his hands forming a circle with his fingers with his eyes closed. Naruto and Ino looked at him strangely before looking at each other. Naruto whispered to his fellow blonde loudly, what is he doing? Ino shook her head. I don't have a clue. Just wait. Naruto's whispers grew harsher. We don't have time to wait. That Asuma guy is going to be here in 10 minutes. He's a jounin, and he's Hokage Gigi's son. That has to mean he's strong as hell. Well, what do you want me to do? Ino whispered back just as harshly, still trying to whisper though so as not to disturb whatever Shikamaru was doing. I don't know the first thing about the guy. Or any of you for that matter. Oh man. Naruto continued to whisper as he moved around in place nervously. We're going to get our asses killed by this guy and then we're going to go back to the academy, and I'm going to have to sit through those boring lectures for another year. I don't think I can do it. Ino started crying anime tears. I don't either. I can't be the only one of my friends this year to go back to the academy. That's a popularity killer for sure. I'll be a social untouchable Naruto, just like you. No offense. No, I don't blame you. Naruto said, crying just as equally as Ino was. I wouldn't want that either, and if that would happen to you, what would happen to me? I don't think I can sink much lower, Ino, and I don't feel like finding out if I can either. What are we going to do, Naruto? Ino grabbed the collar of his jacket tightly. I don't know. Naruto replied just as desperately. Both of them hugged the other and started sobbing loudly. Shikamaru's eyes opened up. Alright, I have a plan. He almost had his eyes bug out of his head when he noticed Ino and Naruto holding each other and crying inconsolably. Guys, Shikamaru said, not getting a single response from them. Guys? He said a bit louder before muttering troublesome and trying again. Guys. Naruto and Ino noticed he was finally back to paying attention and proceeded to let go of each other nonchalantly, as if nothing had happened. Shikamaru stood up. Alright, if we're going to do this then we need to know what the others are good at, so I'll go first. I'm not really much for fighting. I'd rather sleep or play shogi than do something so troublesome, but if I had to I would say that my best thing is dash. XXX, Hokage Tower, Hokage's office. A knock came at the door of the Hokage's office. Enter. Hiruzen said, placing some paperwork to the side to pay attention to his guest. The door opened to reveal Kakashi poking his head in. Ah, Kakashi, I was actually expecting you to come here at some point. But don't tell me you finished your test this early? Kakashi gave the man an eye smile. No, Hokage-sama. I decided I would wait until tomorrow. Let them sweat it out a bit. Also, it seemed like more fun to let them dangle than to get it over with. Hiruzen shook his head at the masked man's relaxed attitude. Are you actually going to pass your team this year, Kakashi? You have a lot you could actually pass down to the youngsters if you ever actually chose to. Kakashi made a noise of neutrality. Maybe. It's up to them whether or not they pass, so who knows. Speaking of my team, I thought I was supposed to get Naruto Uzumaki to even out the team with Sasuke and Sakura. Hiruzen nodded. You were, until Asuma personally requested him yesterday. He hadn't made a request and you didn't really ask for Naruto. He was to be placed there to balance things out. I know you didn't bother to ask for him since he was placed here, but you could have asked for him yourself to keep him. Hell, Sasuke was already guaranteed to be on your team regardless, so you could have reserved Naruto. A smirk then crossed the grizzled old warrior's face. You could have even shown up today before teams were being announced like all of the others and probably would have ended up with Naruto when you found out he was on Asuma's squad. Kakashi face faulted on the ground. Damn habit of showing up late. He quickly picked himself up and cleared his throat. Well, I don't really have issues with my squad. And as long as he's with Asuma, Naruto should be just fine as long as he passes. Oh, he'll pass, Kakashi. Hiruzen assured his masked jounin. Of that I have no doubts, so you shouldn't even worry about that. XXX, Training Ground 24. Okay, time to break some genin. Asuma thought to himself upon entering the training field. He looked around and saw all three of the kids sitting under the tree he had left them at. He walked over to them and crossed his arms once he got close enough for the three to take notice of him. So have you come to a decision on which of you are going to be my apprentice civilly, or will I have to fail all three of you and be done with it? Naruto stood up and dusted off his pants. You're not going to be failing any of us at all. We're not going to let a jerk like you just tell us he doesn't feel like being a sensei and kill our dreams like that. So we're going to give you a choice. Ino said, backing her teammate up as she got up to stand beside Naruto. Shikamaru stood up with a groan. As troublesome as it's going to be, you either pass us, or we'll make you pass us. And you really don't want us to do that. Asuma let out a derisive snort. And how exactly is a group of green-as-grass genin going to pull that off? You'd be better off hedging your bets and fighting between yourselves for the one guaranteed spot. You know that you all have a snowball's chance in hell of actually beating me, right? Naruto grinned. Just pass us, and you don't have to find out. Asuma smirked. Well, that's fun. Because I was needing a workout anyway. You brats can try. By all means feel free to. Naruto smirked. That's just what we wanted to hear. Let's do this. As he said that, Shikamaru placed his hands in the rat seal. Kageme no Jutsu, Shadow Position Jutsu. Asuma smirked and jumped back away from the shadow the tree was casting over the field. I know about the Nara clan's signature jutsu. I'm not taking students I don't know anything about, he said before finding himself frozen in place. What? He looked at the ground and there was no shadow stretching from the tree. What happened? Naruto smirked, as did all of the others as they transformed in puffs of smoke to all take on the appearance of Naruto. What's the matter, sensei? I thought you knew about your students? With that, the extra Narutos disappeared, leaving only one original Naruto in place. It worked, Shikamaru. Yeah, I can see that, Naruto, Shikamaru said as he walked out of some brush from behind Asuma. Asuma turned his head when Shikamaru allowed him the motion to do so. Ino, if you would be so kind as to finish this. Ino sauntered out in front of Asuma in a showy fashion, prompting the man to speak. You all set this up? What was the plan? Shikamaru elaborated. Naruto was to distract you with his Kage Bunshin hinged into us. That was good, by the way. You even had our mannerisms down perfectly. Naruto shrugged and rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. Basics kill. Ino smiled over at him. Yeah, solid clones, Naruto? I don't even know where you would learn something like that. Prompting Naruto to blush more under the praise. Anyway. Shikamaru picked up where he left off. After Naruto distracted you and feigned my jutsu, I would catch you with the real one from your blind spot. You would be dodging what you thought was the real one, so you would be on alert just at the wrong one. A mischievous smirk crossed Shikamaru's face. And finally we were going to have Ino hit you with her jutsu and walk you right to Hokage-sama's office to pass us so you couldn't screw us over. Ino waved from her place in front of Asuma before making the hand seal needed for the jutsu she intended to use. Naruto chuckled after that, drawing attention back to him. And then, for all of the crap you put us through today, we're going to do something humiliating that you'll never live down in your body. Something like make you look like an idiot in front of that Kurenai lady. Shikamaru said you were standing awfully close to her for anything less than just a passing work relationship, or something which kind of brought up our second way to beat you. But somebody didn't want me to use that way. Ino glared at Naruto. You're damn right I don't want you using that way. You'd better never use that jutsu around me or else, got it? Ino said to Naruto threateningly before turning back to Asuma with a victorious look. Get ready to get used to us, sensei. We're not going anywhere. Asuma had a look of terror on his face before he started laughing raucously. What's so funny? Fine, Shintenshin no Jut dash. Before Ino could complete her jutsu, Asuma disappeared suddenly. The genin all looked around. Naruto felt familiar seeing Asuma just disappear like that. No way, he knows that too? How could he have dash? It's a high-level skill kid, but I'm a high-level ninja. Asuma said as he walked into the clearing. He looked at all three in a pleased manner. That was good. I like that. His face turned grave. But seriously, if you ever try pulling any crap around Kurenai, I'm going to make you all pay dearly. Don't even think about it. Ever. He then noticed that they all were still ready to fight. Oh, by the way, you pass. All three of them blinked before standing up out of their fighting stances. Two of them with confused looks, the other just slouched, yawned, and placed his hands in his pockets. What? Naruto said, conveying the thought he and Ino shared at the moment. Yeah. Asuma said with a laugh. That was just to see if you would all turn on each other and fight over the single spot or work together. I was actually expecting you all to fight with Miss Bossy and the airhead kid over there. Lazy ass would have ended up getting dragged into it, and I would have failed your miserable asses and sent you back. Didn't really expect you all to turn on me though. That was entertaining. Damn, Naruto said as he slouched his shoulders. I swear I only sensed the first Asuma-sensei that entered the area. Naruto then told himself whenever he was doing anything like that again he needed to send out a pulse every once in a while. They had wasted all that time with a clone when the other entered the area right after the clone did. He knew Asuma was coming. Too bad it was the wrong Asuma. Asuma placed a cigarette in his mouth. I was going to scare you all shitless one more time and then give you the option to fight over the apprenticeship. And if you turn that down I was going to make you fight the clone anyway, seeing as how the point of all this was to ensure that you all act as a team. So all you really did was rush it all along. He finished and lit his cigarette. Knew it. Shikamaru said offhandedly, are we done? We passed so we're done, right? Asuma sighed. Shikamaru straight killed his momentum. Damn kid just didn't understand the concept of cool. He was trying to be a role model here. Yeah, we're done. Meet me back here tomorrow at 8 a.m. sharp for your first actual day as Konoha Genin. Good work, Team 10. With that he once again disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Shikamaru heaved a sigh at his day finally being over. Finally. I'm going straight home and taking a nap. See you guys tomorrow. He began to walk away from the field. Ino smiled. Well, that worked out better than I thought it would. I'm going to tell Dad I passed. Later, guys. Ino ran off in her own direction. Naruto just stood still watching them both walk away before a smile crossed his face, and he jumped into the air excitedly. Yada! I'm finally an actual ninja now. He landed and looked around for anyone that might have seen that before shrugging and walking away. That seriously wasn't cool, Naruto. He heard Ino say from a distance away. Damn it! Naruto said to himself before walking off with a proverbial rain cloud over his head. XXX. Tenten was simply doing target practice on bull's eyes she painted on trees at the edge of the training field. She felt someone tap her on the shoulder, and she abruptly turned around and unloaded every shuriken in her hand at the person that had surprised her. She looked down oddly when she saw a log riddled with the weaponry she had just unleashed. You're so lucky I knew you were going to do that, Naruto said as he walked up beside her looking at the log she had murdered. How did you even sneak up on me? Tenten asked. She had been alert the entire time in case one of her team members came looking for her to help them train. I wasn't trying to. I just walked up to you and tapped you on the shoulder, Naruto said honestly. Tenten frowned. She guessed she had to chalk it up to her not being used to Naruto's presence. It was still something she needed to work on. Being surprised by someone that wasn't even trying to do it wasn't a good indicator of her awareness. Naruto glared at her, surprising her. You could have told me there was a second test. I almost looked stupid out there today. Tenten smiled apologetically. Sorry, that would have been cheating. But you said almost, so that means you passed, right? Yeah, you bet, Naruto said with a huge grin before he took on a pondering expression, complete with squinted eyes. But are you leaving anything else out that I need to know? Because I'm supposed to start missions tomorrow too. Should I tell him about the deranked missions? She asked herself. On one hand, knowing would soften the blow of the wind being taken out of his sails. It was better to see a punch coming than to be hit with one you had no clue was there. However, on the other hand, why should she? No one fucking told her she would be picking up dog shit and painting fences for missions when she started. Nah, he'll be fine. She figured. Nope. You're all set, she chirped happily, confident in her decision to pass on the suffering to the next class of genin. Naruto kept grinning at her. Want to spar? He asked spontaneously. I haven't really done anything today. Tenten shook her head. No, but thanks anyway. This is the time of day where our sensei has us work on our own things. One of my team should be here any minute to get me. Or do you want a repeat of what happened the first time with Lee? Naruto paled and made a hand self to send out a random pulse to check if anyone was coming. Getting kicked in the face once out of the blue is enough, thanks. I just wanted to see if I'm any better yet. Tenten frowned and placed a hand on her hip. It's been a week. How good could you expect to get in a week, Naruto? You haven't even had a day under your sensei yet. Tenten began pulling her weapons from the bullseyes and the trees. But I've been training super hard. He assured her. Something's got to have changed, right? I still might not beat you, but I might do better than last time. Tenten let out a laugh. Unless you have a new trick like the one you used the first time, if we fight I don't think you will. I'm ready for your little surprises and you don't have anything new to get close to me. Just wait some more and make sure you actually improve or else you won't be any better than my teammate Lee, repeatedly challenging my other one Niji. What? Naruto said. Lee loses? To your other teammate? He hasn't beaten him once? Tenten shook her head and sighed as she picked up the last of her weapons. No. He works hard and he's clearly far better than he was last year when we became a team. But he still hasn't beaten Niji. He sees him as his eternal rival and challenges him every chance he gets. The thing is though, he does it every chance he gets, every day if Niji is willing, which means that he isn't giving himself much time to actually get better before trying again. I'm getting tired of watching him get beat up, but he doesn't listen to me. Naruto was surprised by that. Wow, your other teammate is stronger than Lee? Tenten nodded. Well, it doesn't hurt that Lee can only use taijutsu, and going up against Niji with just taijutsu is pretty much suicide if you aren't Gai-sensei good at it. He was the rookie of the year in our class. Everyone calls him a natural genius. Oh, Naruto said dejectedly. That meant that there was someone else out there way stronger than him too. He perked back up somewhat. Well, enough of that. What about us? What's going on with you and me? Tenten gave him an odd look with a raised eyebrow, begging him to repeat himself. What? Care to try again with how you worded that, or were you actually trying to hit on me? Naruto gave her a clueless look in reply. Huh? I was wondering when we actually can spar again. If you say it won't matter until I get really, really better, then how will I know? Oh good. Tenten replied in a relieved voice. It would have been really weird if Naruto had started to have a crush on her. The him being shorter than her by so much thing was seriously noticeable. Well, I'm going to need to see how I do against actual ninja in combat in a few months. Tell you what, if you're any better, come back here in 5 months and challenge me and I'll see if you're any better. 5 months? Naruto whined. That's a long time. I can't come back here for 5 months? Tenten giggled. No, Naruto. I didn't say you can't come back. I just said you can't challenge me like you have been for 5 months. You can still come back and ask me stuff. I mean, I have been a genin longer than you and it's my responsibility to be a useful senpai to a rookie like you, isn't it? She said, ruffling his hair and getting a laugh out of his facial expression from it. Fine. Naruto shouted. In 5 months I'll knock your block of Tenten, just you wait. Like I would actually let you catch up to me and pull that miracle off. Tenten flicked Naruto's nose. If you actually beat me in 5 months of training alone, I don't know yet, we'll figure that out later. Naruto held his nose and glared at her. Alright then, it's a bet. For something 5 months from now that I can beat you. Someone like you will never beat someone like Tenten. A cool voice said. Both turned to see the boy with Tenten the other day standing at the edge of the field with his arms crossed. Niji. Tenten said expectantly, is it time to meet back up with Gai-sensei? Niji wordlessly nodded before turning his attention back to Naruto. From what I've been told by Tenten and by my other teammate Rock Lee, you are a dropout just like he is. Hey! Naruto barked indignantly. I didn't wind up a dropout in the end. I graduated, and then I finished the other genin test. I'm a ninja just like you. Niji simply smirked. And you're absolutely wrong there as well. Fate has already decreed that I would be better than you from the beginning. It clearly showed itself based on our respective positions in life at this point, and it clearly showed from our respective performances in the academy as well. Tenten was top kunoichi of our year as well. Do you really believe that 5 months will be enough to defeat someone on her level? Absolutely, I believe it. Naruto shouted at Niji. So that's what it was when he saw him the other day, that look on his face while Tenten was helping him. The prick just thought he was better than him. Well, he wasn't taking that crap from someone he had a shot at proving it wrong against. So what if she's better than me and wiped the floor with me the first time? I'll just get better so she doesn't do it next time. I'll get stronger than Tenten somehow. And I'll get stronger than you so I can shut your damn mouth. And that's all I really need to know about that. Niji actually laughed momentarily. The only thing keeping Naruto from heading over there and decking Niji in the face was the fact that he was trying to stay out of fights like he promised the Hokage, and the fact that he would have needed to run over there and head-on charges didn't have a good track record for him. From what I've seen and been told, you have no skills, no redeeming traits valuable to a shinobi, and no inherent talent. I'll tell you this once, since if it doesn't get through the first time it simply won't at all. Once a failure, always a failure. You can't change that. With that he turned to leave. Gai-sensei is waiting for us, Tenten. It's time to go. Tenten glared at Niji for speaking to Naruto that way. Bastard. She muttered under her breath when he got out of earshot. She placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. If you really want to get stronger, just remember what I said. Don't measure yourself by day to day. Do it over time. I'll be here to give you advice, okay? So don't worry about it, you'll be just fine. She didn't want to leave him like that after Niji said all of those things, but she had to get back to her own sensei. Who knows what the man would do if she were late. Naruto just walked away out of the field. That guy Naruto couldn't rightfully call Sasuke a bastard ever again. Sasuke was just antisocial, especially compared to Neji. At least Sasuke wouldn't verbally come out and say he was better than you without that not even being the point at hand. As a matter of fact, Sasuke never really said anything about how much better he was until you called him out on it. Neji just did it for the sake of doing it. I'm definitely going to beat that guy, Naruto said to himself. XXX, Konoha Archive Library. Shiho was laughing uncomfortably as Naruto sat across from her at a table, glaring at her lightly over the book he had in his hands that she had prompted him to read over the course of his last few visits. You aren't mad I didn't tell you about the test, are you, Uzumaki-kun? His silence spoke volumes as the only answer she needed. But I couldn't just tell you, it's an important indicator of if a student is ready to become a genin, or not. Naruto's glare faded and he put the book down with a sigh. I'm not really that mad, Shiho-chan, it's just been a really long day. Have you found a jutsu in here yet? He asked her. He knew Hokage Gigi wouldn't lie to him about something like that. There had to be some really cool stuff in this library somewhere, there just had to be. He would find them, and then he would stomp a mud hole in Niji's pompous ass and walk it dry. Shiho shook her head. I haven't had the time to actively look. Atsuto-sensei keeps me really busy logging the books back in and all of the other things I have to do. I haven't had time to thoroughly go through the catalog and see where they are. There aren't that many, Sensei told me, and it isn't like there's a cool jutsu section of the library. Naruto's face fell. That would be so cool if there was. Then this wouldn't be such an issue. Didn't Gigi know like 1,000 jutsu? Why didn't he just make some scrolls in his spare time and fill this place up so there could be one? That was what he'd do when he was Hokage and knew even more jutsu than the old man did. Fill a section in this place up with them so a down on his luck genin could learn some cool stuff. There was cooler stuff in the scroll of seals. Hey, it was easy the first time. Maybe he could take that again and get something? Nah, even if he could, was he really supposed to be causing that kind of trouble? I guess I'll keep on coming back and going through this place until I hit the mother lode then, Naruto said with an encouraging smile before a frown took over. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to start with my team tomorrow. Well, I guess I can still come by here sometimes. I'm not going to be busy all the time. Shiho gave Naruto a smile of her own. I'll help you, Uzumaki-kun. I'll keep looking for stuff to help you out. I'm holding you to your promise of being Hokage, and running the village with me, helping you when you get there. I should start helping you now, right? Naruto looked at her in awe for a time. She was actually saying she believed in him? He thought she was just messing with him when she alluded to it on the day they met, but she was serious. Someone actually thought he could do it. Naruto gave her a grateful look. Thank you, Shiho-chan. And then when I help you get to the top, I can institute a change in curriculum for the Ninja Academy the way I always wanted, she said, changing the tone of the moment. I mean, if I could end up getting the dead last graduate of his year up to snuff enough to get to Hokage, that would be incredible. Naruto face vaulted out of his seat, not slowing her down one bit. And if I actually end up being head of the department one day, that would be all the stroke I needed to get it across. Yes, you will be Hokage, Uzumaki-kun. I won't settle for anything less. Naruto picked himself up off of the ground by the table. Yes, Shiho-chan. I'll definitely be Hokage, he said, giving her a thumbs up with a sweat drop on his head. Databayo, he said weakly, without enthusiasm. Shiho started laughing like a mad scientist, and started talking to him rapid speed about all of the things he would be going over for her project, as she so called it. Sakura-chan, hell, even Tenten when she's fighting. Why are girls in this village so scary? He thought to himself. XXX. The next day, Asuma led his team to the foot of the Hokage Tower and looked at all of them. Shikamaru still had the same lazy expression on his face as always, and there was no outside indication of how he was feeling other than not particularly wanting to be there. Ino was looking rather energized and cheerful for what they would be doing today, and that wasn't even comparing to Naruto. Naruto looked like a squirrel on caffeine and amphetamines running around an active artillery field. His every motion was jerky and twitchy and full of vigor. He wasn't even sure if the kid had even slept the night before. Hell, it didn't look like he even needed it, all things considered. He had a feeling if anyone tried to lay a hand on the boy, he'd bite it off out of pure reflex. Talk about being wired. He led his bright-eyed well, except for Shikamaru of course, genin inside to the mission distribution area where he saw his father the Sandaime Hokage sitting to greet the genin and give them their first mission. Hello, Hokage-sama. Team 10 is here to receive their first mission as a squad. Hiruzen smiled warmly at all three of them, who smiled after Asuma said that. He started reaching for mission scrolls. Well, I have to say to each of you, good luck, work hard, and make Konoha proud to have trained such fine shinobi as you. Now for your first mission you actually have a choice. Naruto's face lit up. What? What? Is it rescuing a princess? Taking down an enemy fortress? Ooh, is it rescuing a princess while taking out an enemy fortress? He thought to himself. Asuma had to bite his fist to keep from laughing when he saw Naruto's face. Hiruzen smiled gleefully. You have the choice of walking the dogs from the Inuzuka clan kennel, pulling weeds from the garden of an old lady, cleaning out the storage area of a general store, or helping an old man who lives at the edge of the village chop and stack firewood. The expectant looks of the three genin froze on their faces somewhere between the anticipation of the notion of their first mission and the horror of the abject reality of it. Asuma looked at their faces and quickly tossed the camera to his father, who caught it. Oh yeah, that's the look. Take the picture, Dad. Hiruzen did as asked by his son before throwing the camera back. Yeah, that's definitely going to be the team picture for sure. Do you want a copy? He asked the old man. Bring it by once you get it developed. Hiruzen replied. Now which one will it be? Asuma stroked his chin. Do you guys like dogs? He got 3 near lifeless nods. We'll take that one then. Hiruzen handed him the scroll and Asuma pocketed it before pushing his shell-shocked youngsters out of the room. Come on guys, the work of a ninja doesn't do itself now. After Asuma had physically herded them all out of the room, Hiruzen leaned back in his chair and lit up his pipe before taking a relaxing inhale of it with a wistful sigh. Sometimes I really love my job. A few seconds later, Naruto's yells of resentment echoed into the room. Ah, the cycle continues. Oh make. Asuma let out a derisive snort. And how exactly is a group of green-as-grass genin going to pull that off? You'd be better off hedging your bets and fighting between yourselves for the one guaranteed spot. You know that you all have a snowball's chance in hell of actually beating me, right? Naruto grinned. Just pass us, and you don't have to find out. Asuma smirked. Well, that's fun. Because I was needing a workout anyway. You brats can try. By all means feel free to. Shikamaru and Naruto smirked. Fine, your funeral. Naruto, you're on, go. Ino scowled deeply, confusing Asuma. Wasn't she supposed to be behind her teammate? She was with them firmly just a moment ago. Naruto made a cross-hand seal. Tajua Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Mass Shadow Clone Jutsu. 50 clones surrounded Asuma, getting him to lift his eyebrow in interest. One more chance, sensei. Pass us and I won't have to do this. Asuma rolled his eyes. Whatever, kid, I'll be the judge of how bad this is. He absently noticed Shikamaru holding his nose, and Ino was trying to burn a hole in the back of Naruto's head with her eyes. You asked for it. Naruto said. Harem no Jutsu, Kata no Kurinai, Harem Jutsu, Kurinai style. In a massive puff of smoke, all of the Naruto clones transformed into a mass of Kurinais, all naked and hanging off of Asuma. Asuma dispelled before the memories of it actually hit the real one. Asuma held his composure for as long as he could, which was roughly 0.0375 seconds before he flew back over the trees from the power of his forced nosebleed. You pay your asses. His voice carried as he flew away. All of the clones dispelled, leaving one Naruto standing by himself. He turned around to his teammates with a smug grin on his face. You see how easy that was? Didn't even need the dialogue to keep him distracted for it. Shikamaru spoke in a nasally voice as he held back his own nosebleed. Good work, Naruto. Troublesome bastard. Ino was gritting her teeth trying to melt Naruto's brain with her own mental powers. Don't you ever do that again ever. Naruto shrugged at the blonde girl. Whatever works. XXX. In the middle of her team's final genin test, Yuhi Kurinai stopped in the middle of the forest she was running through and looked up at the sky. Why do I want to cause physical bodily harm to that blonde Uzumaki kid right now? Sensei. She heard a stoic voice call out only to find herself surrounded by bugs inching towards her, and a small white puppy growling as it slowly advanced on her. Shino walked into sight. There is nowhere for you to go. My bugs have cut off any retreat you could take. Yahukiba shouted as he stood next to Akamaru. I knew we could find her, boy. As sensei, is there something the matter? Hinata asked, as she noticed Kurinai's sidetracked expression from before. Kurinai sighed. I'm not sure. But anyway, teammate passes. How to train your genin. Tip 1. Determine your genin's intelligence level. Intelligence is extremely important in the development of a shinobi, and their skills. That is why an actual test of their knowledge is crucial to knowing exactly how to go about figuring out what exactly to teach them. If the genin is of low quality level of knowledge, this can be fixed if it is caught early enough. If it is too late, there is almost nothing you can do to remedy the problem. The time span varies from person to person, so be sure to work fast to correct this if at all possible. If it is not possible to improve on the genin's mental prowess, then do your best to patch the problem and teach according to their strengths, doing all you can to hide the weaknesses, and there will be many. Sometimes you can teach an ignorant ninja more than a worldly one, since you would be working with a blank slate. If the intelligence is low, make sure that the information given to the genin in question is short enough to keep their attention, yet long and elaborate enough so that they at least get the gist of the lesson being taught. Another important caveat that needs to be addressed is how you teach your genin. Each ninja is different, just like each person is different, and in the early years especially, it is very important to tailor a genin's learning to fit their own unique way of assimilating information. Some geniuses can be given the base knowledge of what they need to know and can work out the solutions from there. This is the easiest and most desired by the vast majority of teachers. Cough cough, lazy. Others won't get things on the first few tries, but with some prodding it won't take too long for them to find an effective way to perform the task instructed without too much clarification needed. Most are like this. Then there is the kind that cannot seem to get what you try to tell them, no matter how you verbally beat it into their head. No matter how many different ways you attempt to word it, or try to alter ways of explaining things to them, it seems the equivalent of attempting to teach a brick wall how to cook an omelet. It just doesn't work. Do not fret, do not worry, and most importantly, do not strangle said genin until their fingers stop moving. No matter how appealing this option may be, it doesn't work out. Trust me, chances are that they are more of a kinesthetic learner. They learn by actually doing things and failing until they get it right. No matter if it upsets them or you, it is learning, and you must make sure that they understand it as such lest you lose them in the midst of teaching them. Remember, there are slow learners, but no one is hopeless. Do not give up if teaching seems hard, just alter your teaching style accordingly, and your genin will respond in kind. Shiho. What if Naruto secretly trained in night using forbidden jutsu? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.